I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified Board of Education to order. There is one closed session item on tonight's agenda, student expulsions in 2 cases and student enrollment in 1 case, Education Code Section 48918F. We do not have any speaker cards on the closed session agenda item. We will now move into closed session and will return to open session at 6:30 p.m. I call the meeting of the San Juan Unified Board of Education back to order. The meeting is being audio and video recorded, and the recording may capture sounds and images of those attending this meeting. The recording will be posted on the district's website. Board meetings are being held in person in the boardroom at the district office, and the community is welcome to attend. The meeting may also The meeting may also be viewed on the district's YouTube channel where it is being live streamed. Please stand for the presentation of colors by the Casa Robla Fundamental High School Air Force Junior ROTC.
Arm. Forward. Arch. Guard. Hold. Ready. Case. Ready. Case. Form. Color guard. Ready. Case. Present. Arms. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible. Order. Arms. Ready. Case. Forward. Arch.
We'll talk about that. Good evening and welcome. I'm Zima Creason, Board President. To my left is Ms. Pam Costa, Board Vice President. To her left is Mr. Steve Miller, Board Clerk. And to his left, Mr. Benavi, Ms. Paula Viesquez, and Ms. Tanya Krevchuk, and Mr. Saul Hernandez, Board members. To my right is Superintendent Bassinelli, and to her right is Board Administrative Assistant Stephanie Cunningham. Individuals who are attending the meeting in person and would like to offer public comment, we ask that you complete a speaker request card available at the staff table, and you will be called on at the appropriate time during the agenda. Please note that Board Bylaw 9323 limits visitor comments to 2 minutes per speaker with no more than 30 minutes per single topic. Time will be extended for any speaker who uses an interpreter. Please note that public comments, including your name, become part of the public record. We are now at item D, approval of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes for January 24th?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Avey. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Krevchuk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That was unanimous. We are at item E1, high school student council reports. Tonight, we will hear from student representatives from Encina Prep and El Camino High. Welcome, and let's begin with Justin Orozco Ramirez and Alan Vang from Encina.
Good morning, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Bassinelli, and Ms. Cunningham. I'm Justin Orozco Ramirez, ASP Vice President from Encina Preparatory High School.
And I'm Alan Vang, Senior Class Vice President from Encina Preparatory High School.
Thank you for inviting us to share all of the latest information about Encina Preparatory High. In November, we had our annual fall festival where we had a large group of kids come make gingerbread houses, listen to music, and win Encina gear with games.
We finished off the semester with a staff versus student volleyball game where students dominated staff. We had a clothing drive on December 15th where the girls soccer team and the Interact Club opened the closet for the public to come get items. On December 19th, our Interact Club helped put on our cocoa and cram where many students enjoyed hot chocolate while studying for their finals with help from staff.
To celebrate students with good attendance and good grades, we held an honor roll luncheon and attendance luncheon. We invited close to 200 students and to each event and used Faces lending library to get some games for the event. Students got popcorn, cotton candy, pizza, and drinks, and played games to celebrate their good grades. On January 27th, we had our annual blood drive, and we are waiting to see how many pints we donated overall.
Last Friday, after school, we had our staff versus student dodgeball game where staff and students were able to come together for a friendly game of dodgeball.
In sports, Coach Milan and the boys varsity soccer team has made it to the playoffs. Tonight is their first game, and we hope they make it far. Our boys JV team did better this year, and we have high hopes of them improving in the future.
Our girls varsity soccer team, ran by Coach Omar, finished in 6th place. We were proud to make a goal against Golden Sierra, which is the #1 team in the league this season. As a result of the team's tenacity and resilience, Coach Omar received Coach of the Year. We even had 2 girls make first team All-League. Much of our team is young, so we look forward to them growing in the next few years.
Our wrestling team went to a tournament called No Guts, No Glory in Natomas in December. Our girls and boys JV team both won 2nd place. We look forward to future progress with this team.
In academics, our school is busy making this year the best yet. In our advocacy program, we are planning our college field trips again. This year, our freshmen plan to visit Sacramento State, our sophomores are going to UC Davis, and our seniors are seeing American River College. Last semester, our juniors attended Sonoma State, and they loved the chance to see a college campus in person.
Our counseling department is busy going into sophomore classes to work on the 4-year plans in Naviance. They are also planning on going into classes after February break to start getting course requests for next year. Tomorrow, we have an elective fair where elective teachers will explain the classes we offer. We are working with Education Talent Search, United College Action Network, and American River College for college applications and financial aid.
Our Family Parent Support Ambassador, Conita, has been hosting listening sessions with our students. On November 17th, 20 students from varied backgrounds share their experiences on campus so we can improve the site. In January, we had Amani Easley from Project Optimism facilitate a 3-part listening session geared toward the Black Student Union Club. He came to speak about what is going well in BSU and how our Black students felt on campus.
For the month of February, BSU has been hard at work making Black History Month well known across campus. Daily, we have a moment in Black history where students are educated about prominent historical Black figures through our bulletin. We also have several activities that BSU is putting on, including attending the Black Renaissance Day at Mira Loma on February 17th.
In the winter, we held a freshman night for our freshman parents, then a Spanish night later for our Spanish-speaking parents and guardians. We introduced our staff members to the families, showed them how to work the parent portal, explained programs offered at Encina, and reviewed graduation requirements. We partnered with Sacramento Area Youth Speaks to feed all of our families dinner for our freshman night. Many families showed up their gratitude to receive help in their student success at Encina.
And so we'd like to thank the board for this opportunity to report on the latest at Encina Preparatory High.
Thank you so much for that report. Any comments or questions from my colleagues? Ms. Kripchik?
Thank you guys for that report. We just had, prior to our board meeting, a workshop, I guess, from our FACE department. And I feel like you guys are on track to work in our community. You just gave such a thorough report of everything that's happening in Encina. And we probably should incorporate high school students in like our outreach to the community and just feedback maybe on social media, because you guys just did a phenomenal job. Also, you had me at dodgeball, volleyball, hot chocolate. I mean, I didn't have those things, and sign me up if you guys ever have like a volleyball kids versus a board. I'm for it. I don't know if my colleagues here are.
That sounds good.
Escalated quickly. I love it. Thanks so much. And I also used to work with Armani Easley. He's awesome. And I'm so glad that he presented to you guys. Say hi if you ever see him again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Viescas?
Give me like, wait, is this on?
Not yet.
Is this on?
Always.
I know, I would, oh, there we go. But thank you, Mr. Avey. Give me like a month to prep for a student versus board, anything. Okay, 2 months. But I also just wanted to, because we also recently received a board report on the FACE lending library, and I remember being really intrigued by it, but also just hearing you all put it to good use and seeing it kind of out in actual practice was great to hear. I also want to commend you all for running the blood drive. Look forward, I'm sure it was successful, but look forward to hearing what the numbers were from that. And then I just want to make sure you guys didn't injure any of your teachers, right? With all of the sports or anything. I always worry that like they need recommendations for chiropractors or something afterwards. But it sounds like everything went well.
No, they were completely fine.
Great, glad to hear it. Thank you both for the very thorough report.
Thank you so much. And thank you for being here. I think I saw you in the library earlier today. I was able to visit your school and hang out with your teachers. Congrats on the soccer playoffs. That's awesome. Coach of the year, awesome. Wonderful that's an Encina coach. I agree with Ms. Viescas, volleyball, but I'll get down on a Smash Bros tournament or Mario Kart any day. I'm ready right now. I will show up, but appreciate all you do. And thank you for the very thorough report. Next, we will hear from Julie Carruth from El Camino.
Good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Bassanelli, and Ms. Cunningham. My name is Julie Carolina Carruth, and I'm the ASB Vice President at El Camino Fundamental High School. I'm really excited for the opportunity to be here on behalf of my school and share what's been going on at EC. Our student government class has been preparing for many different events. On February 10th, we planned and attended a dance for the Ralph Richardson Center, which was a great opportunity to serve our community. We also held a successful blood drive with Vitalent today, and we had 62 signups. We have Mardi Gras dance and rally on March 3rd, our biggest and most attended event of the year. We're really excited to put it on. And we have junior prom and senior ball coming up, as well as Power Puff, which we just began signups for. Our choir just had a selection of students representing San Juan participate in the California Music Educators Association Capital and the Honors Choir section. They also just held a large fundraiser and concert called Themed Cabaret. We have San Juan Sings coming up on March 15th and Golden Empire Music Festival on March 25th. Choir will be joining EC's band on a trip to Disney for an ambassador performance tour from March 30th to April 1st. Our band has been very busy playing at El Camino's home basketball games. This year, they hosted the 25th annual Young Musicians Band Clinic, where 90 middle schoolers were in attendance. This clinic reaches out to middle schooler band students in the San Juan districts to provide peer-to-peer instruction and strengthen instrumental music. Band has their annual spring concert as well as their night of jazz concert. They will also be traveling to LA with our choir to participate in Disney workshops at the end of this year, as well as playing at the class of 2023's graduation ceremony. Our EPI program at El Camino is working hard in class. EPI Pre-Engineering 3 is designing and fabricating human-powered vehicles. EPI Pre-Engineering 2 is just now finishing and designing kites. EPI Pre-Engineering 1 just began designing siege machines that they will later construct and test. And Manufacturing Metals 1 is fabricating rivet hammers and aluminum pendants. Also, Mr. Thompson's, the EPI coordinator, was just named ABC Channel 10's Teacher of the Month for February. He was interviewed by the station, and the interview is available on the Channel 10 website. We are all very proud of Mr. Tompkins. Our drama program is doing great. Beginning drama is learning about Shakespeare and reading Much Ado About Nothing, and will later have to perform monologues from the show. Advanced drama is currently putting on Alice in Wonderland, which opens March 9th at 7 p.m. and also has shows on the 10th and 11th showing also at 7 p.m. Our medical assisting program, or MAP, is preparing to get the certificate for medical assisting by completing the capstone. Seniors are interning at medical facilities from lunch to around 4 p.m. during the school week, and MAP is also starting applications to bring in next year's students. Our media program, including KYDS, has Spring Audiothon coming up on May 12th. Audiothon is where the media classes stay overnight and DJ for 24 hours straight to make money for the program. The CTE program has 24 kids complete the pathway this year, which is the largest amount we've had since the program began. Our student-run Eagle Eye newspaper just released a print edition last Friday and are working through the ACE program to get credit from Stack State for their work. Our ceramics classes have been designing and sculpting their own art pieces. Beginning Ceramics is working on pinch pots, and Advanced Ceramics doing independent self-designed projects. Our athletics program honored Ivan Soto and Mateen Rafiq for scoring a career 1,000 points in boys basketball, with Mateen also holding the all-time scoring record and also the three-point record for El Camino. In our academic extracurriculars, our mock trial team and our academic decathlon team just finished out their seasons. For the Acadeca team, Reed Wang won a gold medal for both mathematics and science. Lucas Fox won a silver medal in economics. Tavia Mole won a scholarship, and Luam Nazi was honored for leadership. The students and staff here at El Camino have been great as always. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I would love to answer any questions the board may have, and go Eagles.
Thank you so much for your report. Any comments or questions from the board? Mr. Hernandez.
Thank you so much for the report. It's outstanding to see the things at El Camino, but my comment is to Ms. Bassinelli. I think it would be when El Camino or other school functions go to Disneyland that a board member should accompany them on every trip.
Yeah, I think so.
Start with the board president. Other questions, comments from the board? Thank you for such a thorough report. I just want to take a note about the RRC, the Ralph Richardson dance. Next level. I mean, that it changes kids' lives. I have a lot of buddies over there that have kids attending that school, and they don't get a whole lot of opportunities like that. And for you guys to come in and do that for them, I mean, the joy. I've seen my friends posting pictures of their kids, just having the time of their life, that night. So I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. You really are changing lives by that wonderful event. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Please keep that up because those kids deserve it. And, it means a lot for it to come from their other students, right? It's not adults, it's you. So thank you. All right. So let's do one more round of applause for both of our speakers. And I thank you again so much for your reports, both of your reports tonight. Student voice is incredibly important to the board, and we very much appreciate you taking the time to join us tonight. Thank you so much. We are now at item E2, staff reports. Ms. Schnepp.
Good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Bassinelli, and Ms. Cunningham. I wanted to provide you with a few updates regarding concerns around mathematics at Rio Americano High School. Principal Kelly and Rio's math department, in partnership with our PLI team and our FACE team, held the math information night on January 26th that I previously mentioned. This meeting had both in-person and Zoom options for families. And during the meeting, staff addressed many of the concerns that parents had raised previously. Staff also truly benefited from being able to listen to some of the questions and concerns firsthand from those parents. It was a very productive meeting. And following the meeting, staff created a frequently asked question document and sent it to the community so that any families who were not able to attend the event could also watch the Zoom recording and use that FAQ sheet as a guide for them as they were thinking about upcoming questions. On January 31st, Rio conducted a math student listening session as well. It was really important for us to hear from the students. Feedback from the listening sessions was sent to the math department with themes highlighted. And some of the key themes that students really focused on was the power of tutoring, the power of peer tutoring, collaborative time in class where aside from direct instruction, they had time to make meaning with peers and use collaboration to work through some of those problems. The math department is also engaged in a book study that's being led by one of our math TOSAs, a teacher on special assignment. And they are meeting monthly to review the book and discuss best practices. In addition, Rio also received feedback from parents and students that there was a need to expand tutoring. And we heard that loud and clear at that parent information night. Rio was able to hire a second teacher and open up a second classroom. So they're able to now meet more needs of students. They're really focusing also on peer tutoring in the morning. And the teachers who are running the program work really hard to match the students. So if a student at the end of a tutoring session says that wasn't quite the right fit for me, I really didn't understand, they are then able to the next morning find a different peer tutor to support that student. And they're really being intentional with how they try to partner those students that come together. So there is also still tutoring available at lunch. Feedback we had was that it was very busy. So they have expanded that and opened up more classrooms at lunch as well. And finally, Rio provided a release day for their IM2 teachers. A release day is where we provide subs and the teachers are able to come together. They worked on aligning their syllabus, discussing grading practices, and they really started planning for next steps. The teachers felt that time was really valuable and are looking to have more release days where they can come together and plan. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on next steps with Rio Americano.
Thank you so much. Any comments or questions from the board? I'm sorry, Mr. Miller, I thought you were pointing closer to you. I apologize. Mr. Miller.
Thank you. And
Yes.
thank you very much for the update. That's very valuable. And I think this peer-to-peer tutoring is a great idea. So thank you so much for stepping in, and hopefully it's settled down a bit. I know this is a kind of a new math syllabus, for lack of a better word, program. And so the teachers are getting used to it. Now we've got the parents and students getting used to it. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the report. And I would just appreciate the update. I know something came to us and it's really helpful to just be updated on what's going on to support our kids. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Very helpful. Yeah.
All right, we are on items E3 through E5, and we do not have any reports from board appointed district committees, employee organizations, or other district committees. So we are at item E6, closed session expulsion actions. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, President Zima. The board voted unanimously to accept the hearing panel's recommendation of one suspended expulsion in case S19 and one denied enrollment in case OS 33, and to accept as written one expulsion in case number S22. That's all I have to report.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. We are at item F, visitor comments. We do have speaker comments. We do have speaker cards for general visitor comment. Comments are limited to 2 minutes. The clock on the screen counts down the time. Under the Ralph M. Brown Act, the board is not allowed to comment on items that are not on the agenda. So we are not ignoring your comments. We just can't respond to any individual comments. The superintendent can refer items to staff who can follow up with you. Ms. Rye, please facilitate public comment.
Of course, we have one visitor comment today, Peter Constant.
Good evening, board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Peter Constant. I'm the student body president at William Jessup University in Rockland. Today, I'm here to invite the district and the high schools to a student leadership conference with the local high schools in the area. On April 14th from 1 to 4 p.m., we will be hosting a conference with small groups, discussions on leadership principles, effective communication, team building, and small group dynamics. The conference is open to all student leaders at the high schools, and it'll be free for all students to attend. We are super excited to invite all of you. You will get an email with the PDF of this that you could send out to principals. The superintendent, I sent you an email right before this started, and I have a bunch of flyers inviting all. My email is, you guys will get an email from me if you guys have any questions. The Instagram for the university student government is on there, and we're more than excited to have you guys attend. And we're looking forward to bringing all the high schools from the local area together to have leadership principles and have a good teaching time. So am I allowed to come bring you guys these handouts or?
To
Okay.
Ms. Cunningham, please. And thank you so much for your report or your comment.
Very good. Thank you.
And that was our final public comment.
Sounds good. Thanks again for your comment. We are at item G, consent calendar. Do any board members wish to remove any items from the consent calendar? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve items G1 through G8?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Costa. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Viescaz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That was unanimous. We are on item I1, Camp Winther's fee increase. Ms. Schnapp.
Good evening again. The superintendent is recommending that the board hear an update and hold a public hearing related to an increase in the fees for Camp Winther's summer camp program, as well as our fall and our weekend group usage. In addition to outlining the need to increase fees, we couldn't pass up the opportunity to spotlight some of the amazing programs and projects that are happening at Camp Winther's. Joining me tonight is Program Coordinator for Camp Winther's, John and Felice.
All right, thanks for having me here tonight. Looking forward to talking to you about camp a little bit, and then we'll get on to the crux of the matter in terms of our fee increasing that we're proposing. So a lot of you I know have been to camp and know about camp, but there's several new board members. So I'm really, for the benefit of you guys, I'd like to tell you a little bit about camp, a little bit of the history of camp and some of the great things that we're doing there. Camp was purchased back in 1957. In 1957, there were 80 acres of raw land up on the summit, Donner Summit. And Jim Winters, who was a PE teacher in the district, was also an avid outdoorsman, big time skier, loved to be outside. And he heard about this deal to purchase the property, 80 acres for $4,000. At the same time, at the state level, there were, thanks. At the same time, at the state level, folks were talking about how camping is important, outdoors, nature. We should have programs that should be part of our education system and getting that into the public education system. So Jim saw that opportunity and took it to the board. The board acted on it and purchased these 80 acres that is now Camp Winther's. We get well over 600 students every summer at camp. And I think one of the amazing things about camp is that it truly is a traditional summer camp. So a lot of camps these days are specialty camps, basketball, lacrosse, drama, whatever it might be. But our camp, when you think about what is a summer camp, I think a lot of us would envision in our mind what Camp Winther's is. Kids coming up to the outdoors, they're cooking over an open fire, sleeping out underneath the stars, at least one night a week. Otherwise, they're in these tent cabins, kind of rustic tent cabins. And so it really is a classic, traditional summer camp experience. So I'm really proud of the program that we offer up there at camp. Some of the programs that we'll be offering this summer, the top 3 items up there: outdoor skills, recreation, sports, and art and nature. So those 3 programs are what a parent will see when they go to sign up and register on our online registration system. So those are the 3 programs. We'll be running those all summer long, all 3 of them each week. And one of the great things about camp, though, I think, is even though those are the focuses, recreation or art or whatever it might be, all of the programs the kids will be doing, again, the classic traditional activities. So they'll be swimming, boating, canoeing, kayaking, sleeping underneath the stars. And then one of our premier activities right there, that picture is called Split Rock. And the kids get the opportunity to climb up Split Rock, and it's really pretty awesome. So in between the 2 rocks there, they would do what's called a chimney climb. So they'll get in there and they'll put their feet against one side and their butt and their back on the other side, and they'll shimmy their way up to the top before they have to make this one final move, turn around and get up to the top where young gentleman is up to the top there, Scotty. And they finally get up to the top there, and the final challenge is that they need to jump across that opening. And it's not that wide of a gap, but when you're up there, there's kind of an optical illusion and it looks really, really wide. And so a lot of times we really have to coach the kids through that process. But I would say 99%, if not more, actually do the whole challenge. So it's a pretty cool activity, and we're filled with cool activities up at camp. So it's great. This summer, we're also going to be doing a couple other programs. We'll be doing, this is the second year doing the FACE program, FACE Family Camp. So our FACE department is bringing up families to camp, and I think they're choosing families that have been really active in the various FACE programs throughout the school year. So they're rewarding them with this camp experience. So they get to bring their kids. Sometimes there's grandparents. So it's a full range of generations that come up to camp, and they just have a great weekend doing sort of the same activities, maybe not that one, but some of the other activities that we do at camp. And then this year, I'm excited to talk about a new program that we're offering, and that is our expanded learning program. And so what we're hoping to do, what we're planning on doing with this particular program, is going to be free of charge using our ELO funds. And we're going to be going to the various schools within the district. We're targeting, we have two programs. One will be for 4th and 5th graders, and the other will be for 6th and 7th graders. And they'll be, their teachers will be able to come up with them, and they're going to just have a kind of a camp primer. So they'll be able to come up to camp and do some activities. And we're, like I said, we're going to offer it to all the schools, all the elementary schools within the district and middle schools. But we're going to target some of our Title I schools and try and get kids that wouldn't normally maybe even think about coming to camp. And now for why I'm here. I think it's been long overdue since we've actually really looked at our rates. And I think the leadership within the district and myself, we've talked about this, and we all feel pretty strongly that it's time to take a look at that and increase our fees. I know we had talked about doing it pre-COVID in 2019. It was kind of on our agenda, and then, the world fell apart for a little while there and we stopped. 2020, we did not have a camp program. 2021, we subsidized the program. We used our COVID funds to make sure that kids could come on up to camp for that summer. And then last year, it felt like it's kind of our first year coming back to normal, sort of normal. And hopefully this next summer, it feels, it really does feel like we're getting back to normal. So we had 3 kind of crazy years, so we didn't really have a chance to take a look at the fees and make those decisions. But this year, this spring, this winter, we've been doing that. So we think the time is now. In this time period, as you know, costs have gone up, inflation, everything has pretty much gotten more expensive in the last couple of years. And then at camp, we have, we feel like there's a need to have a maintenance and reserve budget. So typically M&O might pick that up, but our camp is in a pretty harsh and tough environment up there. We're at 6,700 feet, and things happen, and it's important that we build up some sort of maintenance fund there. But that said, I think in your packet, you'll see if you want to compare our camp to some of the prices of other camps, where there's no doubt we're the best deal in town. So I think even with our rate increases, we feel like we're offering a really awesome program for a small fee. In this process, one of our goals is to make sure that we always remain accessible to San Juan students. We always have kids from out of district. That's part of our program. They come and we need them to fill our roster. It's important that we hit our numbers. We have a lot of kids up there at camp. That's how we pay the bills. But our main goal is to make sure that San Juan kids come up to camp. So in order to do that, in our plan, we're proposing an across the board rate increase for all campers, but we are going to give a reduction to San Juan students. And as I looked around online, there's like Concord owns a camp, and Berkeley owns a camp, and a lot of these different organizations or cities own camps, and it's part and parcel with what they do. Their city members, their city citizens will get a lower rate than outside citizens. So I think it's on par with what other camps are doing. And probably most importantly in this, and one of the reasons why, we're here today, and we meant to do this a few years ago, is but on an annual basis, I feel like we should probably be taking a look at these rates. You'll notice on the next page that, the rates are bumping up a little bit more than I would like, but that's mostly because we have not done that in quite a while. So, I'm suggesting that we, on an annual basis, we take a look at this. So maybe each year there are small increments to keep up with the cost of living, the rise in the cost of living, but not one big bump. So our recommendation, as you can see right now, in 2022, our rates were $320 for campers. And we are recommending that we increase that rate to $550 for out of district students. For in-district students, the price would be $450, $100 savings. And also if those students happen to be eligible for free and reduced lunch, they would have an additional $100 off. So that cost would be down to $350 for students that are eligible for free and reduced lunch. And then for our weekend retreat programs, in addition to our summer camp program, on the weekends between camp and in the fall until it gets too cold for us to run an operation up there, we rent out the facility to special interest groups. And most of our groups are student groups. We get student government, cross country, some different music groups, that kind of thing. They come up and rent the facility. So for that, our current rates are $25 per San Juan student. That $25 is one night's lodging and 3 meals. And if you are from out of district, so if Rockland comes to our camp, the cross-country team comes up, it would be in the past, it was $50 for one night's lodging and 3 meals. We are proposing that goes up. You can see there $35 for San Juan programs and $85 for out of San Juan programs. And likewise, you have an attachment there. Maybe we didn't give you that attachment, but if you take a look at some of the other programs and camps in the area and what they're charging for that same service, we're still the best deal in town. So that's the meat of that. I look forward to hearing your feedback on that shortly, but I just wanted to highlight a couple other things about our camp. I think if you were to come up to camp, some of you I know have been there, and I want to cordially invite all of you to come on up and visit camp. I'd love to show you around. Camp looks good. The buildings are in great shape. The facilities, the grounds is all in very good condition, but we believe that we always need to be continually improving and getting better. Fortunately, I just learned this. I knew that we had this $1 million appropriations. I just didn't know where it came from. And I heard, Paula, that you were integral in getting that to happen. So thank you so much. We're really pleased to have those funds to utilize for improving Camp Winters. Couple of the items that we would like to do, we have a list. First on my list is the bathhouse remodel. As I've mentioned, our buildings, they look really great. Everything's in good shape, but if you walk in our bathrooms, they're a bit dated, if you will. And so I think that's going to be a nice addition. We have a shower, one of our bathhouses. There's just a shower stand in the middle with 4 shower heads coming off in the center, no stalls or anything like that. So it's time for us to make some of those improvements. So fortunately, we did receive these funds and we're looking forward to improving the facilities. We have a fun project. We want to build an arts and crafts gazebo. Right now, there's this old walk-in cooler that we don't use anymore. So it's sort of sitting in the middle of camp. And so the goal is to tear that down and build a nice little arts and crafts gazebo right there in the center of camp. And then we want to put some of that money into our water system upgrade. At camp, I call it the Achilles heel of camp is our water system. We're on a lake and we have a pump that's in the middle of the lake, and it pumps its water through to a water treatment plant down by the lake, and then we pump it up and goes through and gets distributed throughout the whole system. So it's a relatively complicated system, and given the environment where it's at, it always needs a little bit of upgrade, and we're hoping to buy some new filtration units for that so that we can stay to code. Fortunately, we've created some really great relationships and partnerships over the year, and particularly that's Frank and the facilities team. They have been working obviously with these various contractors who have been doing the bond projects for San Juan. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago. Frank set up a meeting for us to meet with them and talk about some of the needs. They're all like, yeah, this is great. This sounds fun. And so every year now, some of these groups like Flint and McCarthy and Kitchell, they're coming up and doing really quality projects. We've got a new archery shade structure, archery range shade structure. We've got 2 new Gaga pits. We've got a challenge course, and they've been painting cabins, just a lot of really great projects. So we really appreciate those partnerships. Just last week, I got a call from XL Construction, and they're planning to come up, and they're interested in building we want to build a new disc golf course. So they're signing up for that. So those partnerships, those relationships are really important for camp. And it's a lot of fun too. They come up, they get to bring their family up, they spend the weekend, they work, and they have a little fun in the evening. So it's really a great partnership. In addition to goals for our buildings and our facilities, we also have some goals for our programs. We have a great program as is, but one of the things we would like to do, I've been working with Kristen and Amber Lee, and we're trying to get more of our fourth, fifth, sixth graders to come on up to camp in that fall season in September into early October. So right now, Earl Leggett comes up and they do an amazing thing. It's a simple overnighter. They have a great time. And we have a vision where we can get, 10, 15, maybe 20 of those schools that just come on up for an overnighter, do some camp activities, and it's great. So that's one of the things we're working on. I get to go up in the winter. It's awesome. I love being up there in the winter and I want to share that with other people. So we're hoping this year to run our first snowshoeing hike into camp. So we've got the hiking club from Rio Americana that's interested in signing up for that. So we're hoping to lead those folks in a couple of weeks, but we'd like to do more of that. We should be going up there. Camp Winters used to have winter programs. We've got a closet full of snowshoes and crampons and ice axes and all sorts of great adventure equipment. So we would like to continue in that spirit and get kids up there in the winter as well. And then I mentioned the disc golf course. Hopefully we'll get that going this year with our partners. And then we're also interested in exploring some mountain bike camps. That's a big thing. A lot of people love mountain biking. It'd be an awesome place for it. And we have visions of creating like this little training loop. And from there, you could go off. There's an infinite amount of mountain biking opportunities around camp. So that's a program that we're looking at. And then finally, we're talking about this. One more thing on that is an online survey. We started a couple of years ago online registration, and we want to utilize that format so that we can send out surveys to our campers because maybe they don't care about disc golf course, but I think they do. But we can talk to them and get some feedback. What are some of their great activities that they liked over the summer? What are some things that they would like to see in the future for Camp Winter? So that's something that we want to implement here at the end of this season. Then moving into our next steps, we, this year, as I mentioned, we feel like we're kind of back to normal. We want to take a look at things, take a look at our revenue and our expenses, assuming that we increase our rates and take a look at where that leaves us and do an analysis, like I said, each year. And then we'll decide, do we need to bump it up a little bit more? Or did that not work? Or what do we need to do? So I think we're going to find that it's a good move for camp. But we'd also, in this review process, we want to take a look at our salaries for our workers in the summer, our camp counselors, our cooks, our program assistants, our program leaders, all these various lifeguards, all those folks, like our rates, our salaries and our pay rate for those folks has not been visited in quite a while as well. And as you all know, it's a challenge. It's more and more of a challenge now to get people to come and work. And we ask a lot of our employees. They have to come up, they have to live at camp for the week 24/7. They're on duty and they work really hard and they're dedicated and they often do it just for, out of the mission for the project, for the camp. But I think we also need to think about looking at those rates and seeing what we can pay these folks in the future. So I'd like to put that on the agenda for next year. And then that's it. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being here for me. I appreciate it. I felt like I've always had the support of the board. And again, I'd like to invite the new board members to please come on up and visit camp this summer.
Thank you so much for that great report. It was really exciting. I declare the topic of a fee increase for Camp Winter's summer camp programs and fall weekend group usage a public hearing, and it is now open for public comment. There being no comments, I declare the public hearing closed. Comments and questions from the board. Mr. Miller.
Thank you. In looking at the rates, just to understand a little better, the 450 is for 4 nights, all inclusive with transportation. So that's about 112 a day. Why the disparity with the weekend rates of just 35? Does that not include meals or transportation?
It does not include transportation. Well, in the summer, for the week, we offer a full program. So full staff, counselors, cooks, and on our weekends, it's bare bones staff.
Yeah, I'm a product of going to summer camp, and until I was a parent, I didn't understand why. But I love it. And in high school, I was a camp counselor, and what a beautiful life. Every Monday, you'd ride the bus up to camp and come back on Friday, and you had no way to spend your check. So at the end of summer, so great deal. I look forward to coming up and seeing the place.
Awesome. Thanks.
Mr. Avey.
Thank you, Mr. and Police. So just also for reference for the board, this item did come to the facilities committee as well. And I think there was a pretty robust conversation about how the fee increase may impact families that are low income or folks that can't afford it. And I think that they have a pretty good plan where they offer additional discounts for people with free or reduced lunch. They also talked about some other supportive programs that they have for folks really trying to encourage people to go up to camp. I think another big topic of conversation was what happens if the fee increase goes up and attendance at camp goes down. Again, that's something that they're looking at to making sure they're going to maximize both attendance and participation while balancing out. So I think it was a very well thought out proposal. I know the facilities committee folks were also very appreciative of the fact that you want to revisit it each year, right? Because maybe this year, once you look at your costs, you went too high. I doubt it, but theoretically you could have done that. So overall, the committee was very supportive of the fee increase. I don't think that it was noticed, so they couldn't take a vote, but in general, there was consensus on the committee to support it.
Thank you.
Mr. Hernandez.
How many students can we, what's the capacity of a session at Camp Withers?
So kind of our max, we've done more, but I think a comfort zone for us where we're not really maxing out our systems is 120. So we're still at a build back phase. So this year, my plan is to do 100, depending on staffing. Part of it has been limited by the number of staff that we can have to manage the kids. But by next year, I hope to be at 120 kids per session.
Thank you.
Ms. Costa, oh, are you up? Ms. Viescaz.
Come in.
Similar question, or somewhat of a similar question, really. I'm just curious, in the past, how much attendance has been from out of district partners in schools?
Good question. So there's been a bit of a trend with our summer camp program, more and more campers that are coming from out of district. This last year, I believe it was 47% of our campers were from out of district. When I first started, it was in the 38 to 40% range. We thankfully with our online system, we have better methods for tracking that and watching that, but that's where it's been at. As far as our weekend groups, likewise, most of our weekend groups have been from out of district. And that's great because we charge them a lot more, so we bring in more revenue. But I'd love to see more San Juan kids coming, and that's why we're working on these programs for, you know, the 4th and 5th graders to come on up and do an overnighter. I mean, I would love to see more of those kids coming up, and if we take a hit on the finance, we'll deal with that problem in a different way, right? But it would be nice to get more San Juan kids, particularly, like I said, in that September, middle August to mid-October range.
Absolutely, and I share that desire and just want to say that publicly, would love to have it trend a little bit more San Juan families and students. And I know that our FACE department has certainly been working towards that as well with kind of the creation of the family camps. And I think those are looking to continue, if not maybe even expand a little bit. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
Great.
And last year we actually did 2 weekends. This year we're going down to 1, but it's gonna be 1 big one. So same number of people, just gonna get them all in 1 weekend.
Excellent. That's very exciting. And as a San Juan student that didn't know about Camp Winters until I sat on this dais, I'm fully supportive of that and will continue to be supportive of that. So thank you for the amazing work. I also have worked in the past as a camp counselor and just fully know the value of an outdoor experience, if not only to give parents a break, but to really get outside and spend some time out in the great outdoors. So thank you for all of your work, and look forward to seeing some of the improvements that are made and revisiting this on an annual basis.
All right, thank you. I also want to add one of the plan for this year is to, in addition to the reduced fees, we're going to open it up to San Juan students first. So we're going to do like a 3-week window where San Juan students can sign up for Camp Winters, and then we'll open it up to the public. So this year we're starting a little bit late, frankly, because of the rate increase. But normally I would want to be opening up in February so that by March we're opening it up to the general public. So, but that is another thing we're doing to try and help more San Juan kids come to the camp.
Ms. Costa.
Excellent report, and I'm really proud of Camp Winters and the high quality programs we've offered for so many years. I was really surprised by the deficit, and seeing that, it made me totally support the idea of a fee increase. I think it's critically important that we not run at that kind of a deficit. Do you still go to the schools and do presentations at individual schools
I
or?
have not gone since COVID.
Okay,
And there was a bit of a trend, honestly, in terms of like schools not letting me in. They're very busy in the spring and they're doing all their testing and all that. And so those numbers were starting to go down. We're looking at other ways to get the word out. And I think one of the things that we should be considering is getting it out to and working with the communications team in terms of getting it out to parents. Because kids do get pretty fired up about it, but whether flyers get home or what have you, I think, it's the parents that are signing them up and going online and doing that. So I'm looking at different ways, maybe PTO meetings or, parent conferences and that kind of thing, so that parents are aware that there is this opportunity. And I also think by doing like the ELO program that we're doing. So we're going to be reaching out to all the principals in the district, and they're going to be reaching out to all their teachers and saying, hey, there's this great program. Can you find 15 kids that want to come from your school to come up to camp for a 2-night adventure? And, hopefully that will start to increase a bit of a buzz about it too. Oh, there's also this camp. And I think also if we start to do some of these programs that like we do with Earl Leggett, if we get schools that are coming up, part of the idea is getting them 4th or 5th graders to come on up for one night. And it's like, oh, this is fun. I'd like to come up here for more time, right? And then they go home and they decide that they want to sign up for our summer camp program. So I think those are, there are other things than going to an assembly. And we'll restart that as well. But I think there are other techniques that we can be using to get the word out and get San Juan kids up here.
and I was sorry that music camp is no longer. Hopefully we will see that reactivate with more interest from the music community.
Yeah, I would like to see that come back. And then some of the instructors, 2 of the instructors that said that they wanted to do it this year and backed out, they said, how about 2024? So hopefully we can get that going. It really is a great program, and there's nothing like that concert. I imagine you've been up to the concert on Friday night, and it's awesome. So that would be great. We are doing the ELO program is actually happening in that particular week. So we're putting it to good use this year anyway.
Good. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Ms. Cratchit.
Thank you so much for the report. I learned so much. I don't remember hearing about Camp Winters when I was a San Juan student, but that could have just been, I wasn't paying attention, but I would have loved to go. As a camp counselor for probably the last 20 years, I totally support Ms. Vasquez and all the other folks who talk about what a transformative experience camp is, just that team building and the confidence booster, the friendships, all of the good stuff. I'm fully in support. I have a question. Do we use it for like day use? Do we ever do field trips?
One Pershing would come up for a 1-day trip, and that's because the teacher there was the old program director at camp, and so she would bring the whole 6th grade class up. But we don't. It's a lot, it's an hour and a half away, so there's some travel time. We're open to it. We just don't get much of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Miller.
Thank you. Just a quick question. Earlier, I claimed to be an experienced camper, but I have no idea what a Gaga pit is, and Ben doesn't either. So
Sometimes I think we could just run Gaga camp. They get there and they just want to play Gaga. And so it's basically dodgeball within this hexagon walled shape.
Nice.
So it's like 6 walls that are about 2 feet off the ground, and you have this volleyball like ball, and you're hitting it and trying to hit kids before they catch it.
that's where the
And get
board
them out.
members and students should do it, is up in the Gaga pit.
And it's kind of class. It's this dust pit there. So
Building for
I'll
the
be
board.
looking up and I'll see this big cloud of dust over the parking lot. I'm like, is there a bus coming in or something? No,
It's just a Gaga pit.
Dust from the Gaga pit.
That's awesome.
Superintendent Basanelli.
Yeah, I just wanted to express my appreciation to John. So you can tell he's very passionate. And I have to say, so Camp Winters has been a labor of love and passion since the inception. And John has really done an amazing job of carrying that legacy. And so I want to thank you for all of your hard work. When you go up to camp, you might have trouble finding him because he might be someplace by the water filtration center. He might be in the kitchen. He might be out on a hike with students. He's all over the place, and he is what keeps Camp Winters going. And so part of the fees, the need for the fee increase is for us to create a sustainable staffing structure so that we can continue to benefit from people of passion such as John, but we're building the staffing in a way that supports the work. So I wanted to recognize you. You've done an amazing job with Camp Winters, and we're very appreciative and grateful for you. Thank you.
I don't think there's much more that I could say that hasn't been said, but what a wonderful opportunity for not only our students, but the students of Sacramento County, right? Far and wide. And I think it is important that we, when I first was looking at the fee increases, I was doing the math and the percentage. It's like, wow, that's a lot. But at the same time, we have to make sure it's paying for itself. And we are way below other opportunities. And one of the first questions I asked were, do we have waiver opportunities for families that can't afford it? What can we do? And we do. So totally understand, fully support, really appreciate your content, your passion, in making this happen for the kids. So thank you again for the information. This item is going to come back for action on February 28th. Oh,
Quick
Mr. Miller?
question on process. We don't vote on the first reading?
No,
On
we
a
do
public
discussion
hearing?
first
Oh, all right.
and then we come back and vote.
I thought then you set the second reading. Okay. That's how you do it here.
Mr. Hernandez.
Could this be consent?
I'm fine with it being consent. Any objection to this item going on consent?
Check in with
Oh, it's a public hearing though.
Linda, can this go on consent since it's a public hearing tonight?
I believe it has to be back on the agenda.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think
okay.
it does.
good idea, but sorry.
Yeah, nice try.
Okay.
All right,
All
thank you
right.
so much.
Thanks to all of you.
you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we are at item I2, mid-year local control and accountability plan update. Dr. Tornatore.
All right, well, good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Bassanelli, and Ms. Cunningham. This evening, we are here to present the San Juan Unified School District's Local Control and Accountability Plan Mid-Year Update. The purpose of this presentation will be to provide the board with data and other important information that we can use to guide our inquiry and improvement work together, focused on improving outcomes for all students, especially for our targeted student groups. In this presentation, we will be providing the board with information regarding the release of the California School Dashboard, an overview of the LCAP to provide historical background and context, an overview of how San Juan Unified is engaging its educational partners in the development of the LCAP, a mid-year update regarding our LCAP metrics, actions, and expenditures, and finally, how we are using data to get better at improving student outcomes using the improvement process. I'd like to begin by providing the board with information regarding the release of the 2022 California School Dashboard. On Tuesday, December 15th, 2022, the California Department of Education released the dashboard and identified districts that are eligible for differentiated assistance. The California School Dashboard reports how districts and schools are performing on multiple state and local measures that make up California's accountability system. In prior years, the dashboard reported performance levels using colors: blue, green, yellow, orange, and red. And these performance levels were determined using 2 years of data and reported the difference between current year performance, called status, and prior year performance to show growth or decline over time, called change. Because the pandemic interrupted the statewide data collection, assessment, and accountability systems, the 2022 dashboard is a restart of California's accountability system and only reports current year performance using one of 5 purple levels. The multicolored dashboard that reports change in performance will return in 2023. On October 25th, a 21-22 end-of-year data summary was presented to the board that included data from the dashboard. This data included English language arts and mathematics performance on the California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress, known as the CASP, English language proficiency on the English Language Proficiency Assessments for California, known as the LPAC, chronic absenteeism rates, and suspension rates. Additional data that was not available at the time of the October presentation is now available as part of the 2022 dashboard release. And this data includes English learner progress, graduation rates, and the college and career indicator, which is not reported on the 2022 dashboard due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on the administration of the 2021 statewide Summit of Assessments. Reporting of this measure will resume in 2023. Finally, the CDE is recommending that 21-22 data be considered baseline data for measuring student progress going forward due to the challenges presented by the pandemic, which set back progress nationally and in California as well. For more information regarding the 2022 dashboard, please see attachment B of the board packet, which includes a summary of the results by student group, year, and status. Differentiated assistance is provided to assist districts in improving student performance for student groups with very low performance levels in 2 or more local control funding formula or LCFF state priority areas and related dashboard indicators. Listed here are the LCFF state priority areas and related dashboard indicators used to determine differentiated assistance eligibility, as well as the student groups, state priority areas, and dashboard indicators where San Juan Unified met the criteria. Next, I would like to provide an overview of the LCAP to provide some historical background and context. In 2013, the California Department of Education revised the Education Code to develop the new California School Accountability System, established the local control funding formula and local control accountability plan. The local control funding formula is used to allocate state funding to all school districts. This includes base funding for all districts, as well as additional supplemental and concentration grants based on the number of English learner, low income, and foster youth students. The state of California has also identified 8 priorities for improving student outcomes that must be addressed by school districts in their local control and accountability plans. These priorities are broadly grouped under 3 categories of conditions for learning, engagement, and pupil outcomes. The local control funding formula and 8 state priorities areas come together in the LCAP, in which is a 3-year plan that focuses on equity and continuous improvement. It addresses the 8 state priorities. It describes how services are provided to improve the performance of our English learner, low income, and foster youth students, as well as the performance of all students in the 8 state priority areas using LCFF dollars. And it's developed with and includes the perspectives and insights of our educational partners. Now, in June of 2021, the board approved and adopted our 2021-24 LCAP. With the LCAP being a 3-year plan, this means that we are currently in year 2 of the 3-year plan, of the 3-year cycle. Each year, the LCAP is updated using a continuous improvement process focused on building on the work we have done to maintain continuity of learning, analyzing multiple sources of data that includes input gathered from consulting with our educational partners, state and local data, practitioner experience, and research, and refining our actions based on what we learn in order to improve. In San Juan Unified, improvement is a daily competition with ourselves to do better than we did the day before. Rather than competing and comparing ourselves to others, we focus on learning with and from others to identify successful practices and measure our success by the progress we make over time through frequent and regular reviews of data. An example of how this is practiced in San Juan is through our network improvement communities, principal meetings, administrator meetings, and improvement teams where educators and administrators from across the schools and departments come together to improve outcomes for students by identifying areas for improvement, understanding root causes, designing and testing ideas, monitoring the progress of those ideas through an ongoing analysis of data, and then making changes along the way based on what is learned. The 21-24 LCAP is designed around 5 goals, and within each goal, there are metrics and actions that target specific areas of our work. And so these goals include connected school communities, healthy environments for social and emotional growth, engaging academic programs, clear pathways to bright futures, and graduation and college and career readiness for foster youth and students with disabilities. Goals 1 through 4 were developed with our educational partners as part of our strategic planning process during the 2019-2020 school year. And goal 5 is a required goal by the California Department of Education because we met the criteria for differentiated assistance. Bless you. Now that we have some historical background, context, and understanding of the LCAP, I would now like to share the educational partner engagement strategy that we are using to gather the insights and perspectives our community that helps inform our LCAP. Before doing so, however, I want to share what engagement means to us in San Juan Unified. For us, it's not a transactional or one-directional communication process. Rather, it is a commitment to work alongside and with our students, families, staff, and community so that everyone feels valued, included, and heard. It's a pledge to lift and amplify the many voices of our diverse community and our plans that guide the work that we do together to educate our students. Now, the LCAP development begins with Education Code, which states that districts shall consult with various educational partners across the district in developing the LCAP. This includes teachers, principals, administrators, school personnel, local bargaining units, families, and students. As a result of this requirement, as well as our commitment to ensuring that the voices of our educational partners are included in this process, this is a list of the approximately 65 educational partner groups that reflect our diverse community and that we are currently engaging in the development of our LCAP. So what does this process look like? We are engaging multiple educational partner groups using various outreach and communication strategies in order to differentiate our approach and to maximize participation specifically for our targeted groups. This includes thought exchanges, listening sessions, focus groups, and surveys, meeting with partners and capturing their thinking in a variety of settings, and communicating these opportunities with our educational partners in a variety of ways. To date, we have engaged a total of 2,340 participants in the process. We believe that for us to improve as a district, we need to hear from those that are directly impacted by our work, and that is our students. One of the groups that has played a pivotal role in our ability to expand our engagement efforts is our San Juan Youth Voice Advocates. These high school students receive training on how to facilitate listening sessions and advocate for change at both the district and school level by lifting and amplifying the voice of their peers. The San Juan Youth Voice Advocates are scheduled to present at the March 14th board meeting, so you will be able to hear in more detail about the transformational work that they are doing. Facilitating listening sessions such as these takes confidence, humility, and care, and we in San Juan are beyond impressed by the level at which they are doing this important work, and I know that you will be as well after hearing from them. Regarding our LCAP actions and metrics, at this point in the school year, all our actions are currently in progress of being implemented. However, some metric outcomes are known and some are unknown. For example, we completed our district climate survey a few days ago, and we are now in the process of collecting and organizing that data. So this metric outcome is currently unavailable. It's currently not available. However, state assessment data was recently released and is available. An update on all metrics, actions, and expenditures that are currently available at this point in the school year are included as attachments C and D of the board packet. So now I'm going to turn it over to Chris Smith, our Assistant Director of Assessment, Evaluation, and Planning Department, who will be sharing the results of our mid-year data.
Good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Bassanelli, Ms. Cunningham. This data we will be sharing with the board this evening is district level data to provide a broader view of how our system is improving. In addition to the district level data, departments and schools also review and analyze site level data to guide their data conversations and inform their continuous improvement work. In this presentation, I will be referencing both state metrics and local metrics. You will see end-of-year comparisons on graduation rate, which is a state metric, and mid-year comparisons for English language arts, mathematics, chronic absenteeism, and suspensions using local metrics. I will also be sharing some potential factors that may be contributing to the results we are seeing. Finally, after sharing the results of the data, we will conclude this presentation by sharing how we are responding to this data in both the LCAP actions and in real time at the site level. Since this is our first slide with tables, I want to orientate you to the table layout, because the following slides all have the same format. In dark blue, you will see the previous year's data, while the light blue represents the most recent data. On the student group table, there are two dashed lines that go across the top, which represent the overall district averages. Orange is the previous year's data. Green is the most recent. On this slide, they overlap with each other because the averages are very close. Here we have the graduation rate, which shows the percentage of students who graduate high school with a regular high school diploma in either 4 or 5 years. This indicator includes students from the graduating class of 2022, as well as students from the cohort class of 2021, who graduated in their 5th year of high school. For comparison purposes, the 2021 graduation rate has been included. The overall graduation rate maintained from 2021 to 21-22 with a drop of 0.2%. When looking at our student groups, we will see that white and African-American student groups saw a positive uptick in their graduation rate by 0.5% each. The largest disparity was with our foster youth students, who are graduating at a 48.8% rate and who saw a 10.5% decrease from the previous school year. One important note with the graduation rate is San Juan's unified scaffolded approach to building back towards pre-COVID graduation requirements. In July of 2021, Assembly Bill 104 was signed into law, allowing students to graduate with the state's minimum requirements made up of courses totaling 130 credits. Part of our thoughtful approach to building back graduation requirements reintroduced 10 additional English credits for the class of 2023. This has been the first step because community colleges and California state universities use the 4th year of high school English courses for placement purposes. Our goal is not to lower graduation requirements permanently, but rather adjust temporarily as we continue to monitor the impacts of COVID-19 on future graduating classes. For example, we are currently reviewing data for our students who are juniors this year to see what their needs are and how we can best support them on their path to graduation. The English language arts data for TK through 2 are a blend of how TK through 2 students are performing on their iReady diagnostic or their running record. Schools have a choice to use iReady or running records to determine students' reading proficiency. The chart at the top of the slide shows the percentage of TK through students reading at grade level in the fall of this year compared to the fall of the last school year. The data shows that there has been a 6.7% increase in the number of students at or above grade level. Additionally, all student groups are performing better than they did at this time last year. Although English learners show the largest disparity in performance compared to the district average, English learner proficiency has accelerated and increased by 3.7%. The bottom chart represents how our 3rd through 8th grade students performed on the fall 2022 iReady diagnostic with the fall 2021 details listed for comparison. It is important to note that the fall iReady diagnostic serves as a baseline and was administered at the beginning of the year in August and September. The winter iReady diagnostic is currently being administered, and we will be reviewing this data to inform instruction and monitor growth over time. Based on this data, we can see that the overall reading proficiency in the fall for all students and student groups in grades 3 through 8 is similar between this year and the 21-22 school year, except for foster youth and Hispanic students who saw increases. Similar to reading proficiency results, the greatest disparity is visible with our English learners, where 2.4% were reading at grade level. When we dig deeper into this data and look at the skills a student needs to acquire to become a successful reader, the data shows that our students have a strength with phonological awareness, phonics, and high frequency words. The data also highlights an area of growth for us as well, which is vocabulary and overall comprehension on both literature and informational texts. For example, 90% of our students taking iReady assessment are on grade level for phonological awareness, but only 33% are on grade level for vocabulary. Here we have fall iReady math results broken down by grades TK through 2 and 3 through 8. Like ELA, the fall iReady diagnostic serves as a baseline and was administered at the beginning of the school year in August and September. Students in grades TK through 2 declined by 0.6%. The largest drop from 21-22 to 22-23 is with our foster youth student group. It is worth noting, however, that the number of students in this group is smaller compared to other student groups, which means one student could significantly impact the results. A disparity in performance can also be seen with our English learner and our unhoused youth student groups, who perform 9% below the district average. Student groups showing an increase in performance are students with disabilities increasing by 0.7% and white students increasing by 0.9%. Although a decline was present in grades TK through 2, 3rd through 8th grade students increased their fall iReady performance from last year by 0.8%. This increase was largely seen across all student groups, except for our homeless student group, which decreased by 0.5%, and our low SES group, which maintained their same level. Again, the largest disparity is with our English learners. One possible contributing factor for this disparity is the shift in EL demographics in San Juan Unified. There has been an increase in EL students, with a majority being newcomer and refugee students who have minimal to little exposure to English language prior to arrival in the United States. To give you some context, out of our approximately 6,800 English learners enrolled in San Juan Unified, 1,700 are taking the initial LPAC. This means that for many of our students, it may take longer to meet grade level proficiency. As a result, in addition to achievement data, such as the percentage of EL students meeting and exceeding standards, we will be closely monitoring growth data such as distance from meeting standards. This focus on growth will allow us to monitor whether students are moving towards proficiency, even if they are not meeting grade level standards. Now, looking at chronic absenteeism, a student is considered chronic absentee if the student is absent at least 10% of the instructional days, which equals 18 or more days out of the 180 instructional days. And this can include excused absences, unexcused absences, out of school suspensions. Additionally, a change in the rate of plus or minus 1% is considered significant change for both chronic absenteeism and attendance. Overall, the chronic absenteeism rate has remained steady. However, when looking across our student groups, we see that our foster youth, students with disabilities, African American, Hispanic student groups had a significant change. One possible contributing factor for why overall rate has remained steady is due to the guidance that the state, county, and us as a district have been communicating, which has been, if you feel sick, stay home until you can confirm you don't have COVID. Additionally, in speaking with families, we have been told that students are being kept at home if the family perceives that if a student in their child's class are ill. This is consistent with reasons for the absences that are being reported, which shows that while the COVID-related absences have decreased, absences reported as general illness have increased. When we look at how the student absent rate of our chronically absent students has changed over time, we are provided with a different perspective and a more nuanced understanding of our chronic absenteeism rate. The percent of chronically absent students who missed more than 15% of school days in 2021-22 was 18.3%, whereas the percent of chronically absent students who missed more than 15% of school days in 2022-23 decreased to 14.3%. This means that while the chronic absenteeism rate has remained steady, our chronically absent students are missing fewer days of school and showing improved average daily attendance. This data shows a comparison between 21-22 and 22-23 semester one suspension rates broken down by home suspensions and in-school and class suspensions. What we are seeing in the suspension data is a reduction in home suspension and an increase in in-school or class suspensions. Home suspensions have decreased from 3.9% last school year at this time to 3.4% this year. Significant home suspension reductions of more than 1% can be seen across multiple student groups, including our English learner, low socioeconomic status, unhoused, students with disabilities, and African-American student groups. One possible contributing factor for this decrease in home suspensions and increase in in-school or class suspensions is that schools are working to reduce home suspension by focusing on alternative practices to home suspension that include restorative practices, de-escalation strategies, and social emotional learning. For example, rather than missing a full day of learning with a home suspension, a student may be temporarily removed from class to receive behavioral support so that they can safely and productively return to the classroom. Now I will turn it back to John to speak to San Juan's actions and response to the data.
President Creason?
Yep.
Could I ask a couple of questions before you step down? I'm trying to understand these numbers.
Can it wait until the end of the presentation?
Sure.
Okay, that would be helpful.
Okay.
Okay, so now that we've shared the results of our data, we would now like to share with you how we were responding to the data. Specifically, the actions, the programs, the services, and the interventions we are implementing to address the academic, the social, the emotional, and mental health needs of our students, especially for our targeted student groups. So to address the disparities for our student groups and improve overall student performance in ELA and math, we are implementing actions that include professional learning, coaching, and collaboration for teachers focused on instruction aligned to the ELA, history, social science, and math frameworks. We're providing tier 1 and 2 academic interventions through our multi-tiered system of support, as well as a universal screener for dyslexia. Effective instructional practices such as co-teaching and universal design for learning, which are differentiated and inclusive approaches to teaching and learning. Tutoring, flex periods, and diagnostics to provide targeted small group instruction to students. And intervention teachers and instructional assistants in our elementary and K-8 schools to provide additional supports to students. So for example, one possible factor that contributed to the increase in our K-2 reading proficiency has been our focus on the science of reading using the professional learning program called Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling, commonly known as LETTERS. LETTERS focuses on the foundational literacy skills students need to learn to read. This includes phonics, which is teaching the relationship between the letters of written language and the sounds of spoken language. So when we looked at the skills a student needs to acquire to become a successful reader, we saw a greater number of students who met proficiency in these foundational areas. This data seems to indicate that we have hit a tipping point and we are beginning to see the impact of this work. Our next steps are to continue expanding this professional learning program across the district. When we started this program in 2018-19, we had 5 practitioners participate in letters. Since then, we have had as many as 190 practitioners participate. This increase suggests that teachers are hearing about and seeing the benefit of this program, which is leading to greater demand and interest that we plan to meet. To improve math proficiency for students, we are building on what we learned from the growth we made in reading proficiency by focusing on foundational skills. So for example, with word problems, students must not only be able to apply a mathematical calculation, but they must also be able to comprehend what is happening in the problem to solve it. This requires foundational skills in reading, such as comprehension and vocabulary, and foundational skills in math, such as number sense. It also requires being able to articulate number relationships, understand symbolic representations, explain reasoning, and use math in real-world situations. To address this need, we are offering professional learning opportunities that focus on how to teach number sense. Additionally, we are adding letters professional learning opportunities that build on the teaching of foundational skills and take that next step to comprehension and vocabulary. To meet the academic and language needs of our English learners with various profiles, we are implementing intervention and enrichment opportunities to accelerate English language proficiency, such as after-school tutoring, Saturday classes, summer math camp, camp invention, and LPAC boot camp. Bilingual instructional assistance to provide scaffolds and supports focused on literacy and academic discourse. School community resource assistance to build relationships and partnerships with our English learner community and connect students and families with resources and tools to navigate the American system. We are providing professional learning and additional staff such as program specialists and teachers on special assignment to support integrated and designated English language development using the EL roadmap, content standards, universal design for learning framework, and guided language acquisition design. And finally, parent engagement workshops focus on how to support instructional learning at home. An example of some specific work being done to meet the needs of our English learners is at Del Paso Manor, where teachers have been using a program called Systematic ELD and engaging in ongoing professional development. This program is aligned to the domains assessed on LPAC and focuses on listening, speaking, reading, and writing with a strong emphasis on the speaking and the writing. Even though this program is in its early development stages, the impact of this work is already evident. For example, when looking at English language proficiency levels, there are no Del Paso Manor students with level 4 proficiency level because all of their level 4 students have been reclassified as fluent English proficient. This is consistent with what is being observed as well. The focus on listening, speaking, reading, and writing can be seen on classroom walls and student resources such as sentence frames and anchor charts, and heard in the classroom with students that were once reluctant to participate, now raising their hands to engage in learning. More information about this exciting work will be shared with the board on March 28th during a staff presentation from the team at Del Paso Manor. In response to our chronic absenteeism data, we are implementing actions that include access to COVID testing at school sites and district clinics so that students can get a verified COVID test in a timely manner and return to school. Transportation for our foster youth and homeless students using an outside ride service contract. Staffing and community partnerships to expand access to resources, programs, and services. Increasing communication by coordinating our outreach efforts across the district through our FACE mobile, parent workshops, social media, and at the site level through our school leaders, teachers, counselors, social workers, and staff. And finally, regular meetings with families and their home language to provide resources such as technology, free bus passes, food and clothing, services such as mental health support, translators, and alternative education programs, and interventions by engaging students and families in co-creating home routines and plans. For example, at school sites across the district, we are seeing some successful practices being implemented to address the issue of chronic absenteeism that we are learning from and building on. These practices include weekly team meetings to review data, discuss strategies, and targeting supports to students who are chronically absent, personal outreach to families through phone calls, home visits, and family resource meetings, building relationships and connecting with students through ongoing intentional interactions, incentives such as monthly celebrations and prize drawings, attendance brochures and videos created by staff and students explaining the importance of attendance, and making data visible to show progress and improvement towards achieving a collective school goal. One school where we are seeing the impact of this work is at Encina High School, where compared to last year, their chronic absenteeism rate has decreased 6.2% and attendance has increased 2.5%. Another example is with transportation, where we have added additional routes specifically for students experiencing homelessness. In one route, for instance, we have 9 students receiving this service. In 21-22, prior to this transportation service, the average attendance rate for these 9 students was 59%, and all 9 students were chronically absent. Now, in 22-23, after the implementation of this service, their average attendance rate is 77%, and 7 are chronically absent. We are currently focused on increasing ridership and communicating with families about this service, as it appears to be contributing, along with the additional actions mentioned, to the improvement in chronic absenteeism and attendance that we are seeing. In response to our suspension data, we are providing schools with a multi-tiered system of social, emotional, behavioral, and mental health supports. These include district services to students such as counseling services, mentoring programs, K-12 support center services, which has expanded from a K-8 service to include grades 9 through 12. Additional staff to support schools with reviewing data and aligning resources to the data, implementing social emotional learning programs such as Second Step, peer mediators, and safe school ambassadors, and then professional development such as the alternative practices to suspension focused on positive behavioral interventions and supports, restorative practices, and de-escalation training. We have also had networked improvement communities focused on continuous improvement practices that support our African-American students and students with disabilities, unconscious bias training, and culturally responsive and restorative practices to support safety planning, training, and student supervision. An example of this work is at Katherine Johnson Middle School, where there has been an 11.07% decrease in home suspensions for all students, as well as decreases for all student groups when comparing 21-22 to 22-23 semester 1 suspension rates. This decrease is a result of a combination of these programs and services, as well as a shift in culture focused on building relationships, identifying the function of the behavior, and teaching the skills to address the behavior rather than focusing only on the consequence. In practice, Katherine Johnson staff are meeting weekly as a team where the administrators, teachers, social worker, counselor, psychologist, mental health therapists, campus monitors, and teachers come together to discuss students, review data, identify intervention supports, and make changes based on what they learn. They're engaging families throughout the process to establish trust and provide consistency between the home and school. They're guiding students in how to reflect and engage in dialogue with one another to work across differences. They're honoring space and time for students to de-escalate before engaging in discussion, reflection, and learning. They're also checking in daily with students and being visible on campus between classes. They're having re-entry meetings for students who are suspended to reaffirm their behavior goals and the supports that they will need from the KJ community to be successful in achieving those goals. Prior to these changes, students would have a conflict and would take it upon themselves to resolve the conflict by fighting. Now, instead of fighting when there is a conflict, students are asking staff for help. And this is allowing the school to be proactive instead of reactive and help the students problem solve and teach the skills needed to resolve the conflict in a safe and productive manner. And finally, regarding graduation, we are providing exposure to post-secondary opportunities and planning support through presentations, counselors, events, and our Naviance platform. We are offering credit recovery opportunities to students to recover credits if they failed a course or for grade improvement if the student earned a D using Apex, which is a flexible, self-paced, mastery-based online learning platform for students to retake a course. They're establishing community partnerships with Improve Your Tomorrow and United College Action Network that specifically support African-American students to be A through G qualified, as well as equal opportunity schools to increase access for African-American students in AP courses. We're providing mentorship support and structure to be prepared and eligible for college through our Advanced Via Individual Determination program known as AVID. and implementing a process where counselors analyze and review transcripts over summer to ensure accuracy and validation for math and world language courses. So for example, if a student earns a D in IM1, but then earns a C or better in IM2, that transcript is manually changed and validated to reflect that the student has met the A through G criteria for both IM1 and IM2. An example of how we are addressing the graduation rate disparity that exists for our foster youth students, for example, is by implementing targeted actions focused on enrollment in courses, completion of post-secondary plans, tutoring, and accurate student records. In one semester, we have made progress in these areas. For example, since the start of the school year, we have increased the number of foster youth enrolled in advanced placement, international baccalaureate, career technical education, military science, and A through G courses from 42 to 59 students. We've increased the number of foster youth students receiving tutoring from 37 to 82. And finally, the percentage of foster youth students in our local student information system to match the graduation cohort listed in the state student information system from 94% to 100%. Next, I'd like to provide you with an update on our 22-23 LCAP budget, as well as some of the challenges we are facing with regard to spending, the actions we are taking to address those spending challenges, and the progress we are making in those areas. So in reviewing our LCAP expenditures to date, we have spent a total of $299,172,220, which means that we are on track to spending our plan allocations. You will notice an increase from when the budget was approved by the board on June 28th and our current working budget as of January 9th. This is because the budget is adjusted throughout the year to reflect our current enrollment, average daily attendance, unduplicated pupil count, and cost of living adjustment. The greatest challenge where we are experiencing to fully implement our budget and actions is related to staffing, specifically hiring qualified and diverse staff for hard-to-fill positions such as instructional assistants, bilingual instructional assistants, counselors, social workers, and nutrition services staff. This is a result of a larger state and nationwide staff shortage where the demand for staff exceeds the number of applicants in the hiring pool. To address this talent challenge, we are focusing on recruitment, retention, and career development. So for example, regarding retention, we are systematizing our onboarding procedures through our Smooth Start initiative to ensure that our new hires feel welcomed, supported, and prepared to work in San Juan Unified. Regarding hiring, we have developed partnerships with universities and organizations to increase our hiring pool. So for example, we have a contract with LinkedIn and Indeed to advertise teacher, management, and classified positions. So far, we have had 3 hiring events which have been effective. And so from these hiring events, nutrition services have hired 36 applicants and our special education department has hired 13 instructional assistants. For career development, we are piloting our Cultivating Leaders program, which focuses on supporting current and future leaders with mentorship and professional development. And finally, we are strategically using multiple state and federal funding sources and plans to maintain continuity of services and programs to students and families. As a result of these actions, we have hired 566 new employees since the beginning of the school year, increased the percentage of staff in San Juan Unified to reflect our student populations, and are supporting career development of 68 teacher and principal leaders. And finally, our next steps regarding the LCAP will be guided by our continuous improvement process of building on the work that we have done before, analyzing multiple sources of data, and refining actions based on what we learn. This will include analyzing and identifying key themes from our educational partners, as well as state and local data, revising LCAP actions by refining existing actions, developing new actions and targeting funds strategically, and presenting the plan to the LCAP and English Learner Parent Advisory Committees, as well as the board in June. So the purpose of this presentation this evening was to provide the board with data and other important information that we can use to guide our inquiry and improvement work together, focused on improving outcomes for all students, especially for our targeted student groups. This evening, we have provided the board with information regarding the release of the California School Dashboard, an overview of the LCAP to provide historical background and context, an overview of how San Juan Unified is engaging its educational partners in the development of the LCAP, a mid-year update regarding our LCAP metrics, actions, and expenditures, and finally, how we are using data to get better at improving student outcomes using a continuous improvement process. President Creason, this concludes our presentation, and we are happy to answer any questions from the board. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Questions, comments from the board? Let's start with Mr. Miller.
Thank you, President Creason. Just my question on the actual percentages. Those are based on total student population, and when it's broken down, that's where I had a little, didn't quite understand. If we could maybe go to one of the slides with the, say, English language arts, and we've got the reading proficiencies.
Can you tell them the slide number maybe that you're looking
I'm
at?
looking for a slide number, but, oh, there it is, 20. I don't, yeah, I picked one. Where's 20?
It's right
I've
there.
got it in front of me. I was looking for it on the screen. And that's not happening. Okay, it shows 22% are TK through 2 are proficient. This 22, 23. Is that overall student population? Just for clarity?
That is TK through 2 overall, yes.
Yeah, so that's our overall population. But then when we look down at the student groups, is that percentage by group, or that's what I was trying to, or by number of students overall? In other words, let's look at English learners, 8.7% is, that's not 7% of our total population, obviously, just the English learners.
No, so 8.7% of our English learners are reading at the proficient level for TK through 2.
Okay, so that's per group. That's what I was trying to figure out. Okay.
Correct.
Well, I have the floor. When we look at the action items, how do we, I see like in English language arts, this is slide 25. English language arts and mathematics, we have 5 actions there. How do we, you gave some examples of actions that work. How do we know what actions aren't working, or possibly we could do better? And I know you're always revising current actions to see how you can do better. And do we, not only do we look at the state overall and how we're doing, but do we look at the schools that are succeeding in each of these areas and find out what they're doing right, so we don't reinvent the flat tire here in San Juan?
Yeah, so one of the things since the pandemic, one of the challenges that we've been facing is just implementing our actions as intended.
Right.
While at the same time addressing with the staffing issues and the attendance issues that have been occurring. So the short answer is yes, we progress monitor each of those actions so we can see where we can learn what adjustments that we can make. But certainly one of the challenges that we've had so far right now is before we pivot and make a change to something different, having the opportunity to actually implement the action as intended with our.
Because those missing 2 years.
There you go.
Basically.
Correct.
So we get a reset on the LCAP, and moving forward, we could look for improvement.
Well, looking forward, yes, we will definitely be monitoring progress with our aim to be to make improvement, of course.
Perfect.
Trustee Miller, I just want to add too, so at the local level, each site digs into their available data, both the data that you see that's included in this report, but then also additional formative assessments. They then do a refining process where they then look at what is the data telling them, what adjustments do they need to make, and then we see those adjustments come forward in the form of their SIPSA, so their site plans.
Right.
So that is how that happens at the local level. We then, at the system level, we are looking to see where those bright spots are across our district, particularly at schools, to learn around what are those practices so that we can leverage those and share those across the system.
The aha moment.
Correct.
Moment where we go, hey, this could work. Thank you.
Other questions, comments? Ms. Krafchick?
Yeah. Thank you for that report. You did answer a lot of my questions through email, so thank you for that. You mentioned earlier some of the professional learning opportunities for teachers and the successful phonics program letters. If it's so successful, how can we better broaden that to all of our TK teachers? How can we increase the usage of that?
So actually, and we started from the ground up. So as I said, that I think we started with 5 participants and that has definitely expanded over time. And so what we're doing is we will be just increasing access to those professional learning opportunities. Many of our teachers are hearing about this and are signing up. So we are going to be expanding that professional learning and offering to our school practitioners.
Okay, I'm still learning how all of this works with curriculum and standards, but I imagine, do we look at that in while we're assessing our future curriculum, do we standardize some things if they're very successful, like from our LCAP goals? I think this is more for Superintendent Passanelli.
So as a part of our curriculum adoption process, we adopt resources for our practitioners, for our teachers to implement in the classroom. But each teacher needs to look at what the needs are within the classroom and use the resources that are provided in order to meet those needs. So it's not really a one size fits all model, but we do try to share. So when things such as letters are catching fire and in terms of need and urgency, we do our best to really mobilize that across the system to make it available for teachers to utilize as it meets the needs of their students.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a lot of English learners in my life right now. We have a lot of Ukrainian refugees that we are supporting, so I can certainly see the need. And this just funny example that always gets brought up is Pacific Ocean. Like it has 3 C's and they all sound different. Like explain phonics to me in Pacific Ocean. Doesn't make any sense. But I did notice when you were both bringing up the low scores for our English learners across the board. And I think it's just important to realize that the English learners that we have right now, I don't think they're their typical English. They're certainly not the English learner I was when I was going to school, when our family decided to move here. We made that choice. The refugees that are coming from Afghanistan and Ukraine have a lot of issues on their mind. So having a lot of those emotional social supports that we're doing, I think are really important. And it's probably going to take a little more time for them to bump up their reading score because they have other things that they're obviously thinking about. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Other questions, comments from the board? Mr. Avey.
Thank you for the presentation and for the additional data. I have a hard time with this. I know I know we're doing our best. I know we're implementing best practices. I know we're a big district that's very complex, but just some of the top line data, it's hard. I mean, in English language arts, it looks like, in a lot of these categories, we're under 30% proficient. In math, it looks like we're under 20% just on these very rough numbers. And I think it's important for us to all just to acknowledge that that's hard. We got to do better. And I know everybody's working on it, but I think part of it is we need to acknowledge it. We need to surface it. We need to talk about that we do need to improve. I think one thing, and I mentioned this at a previous meeting, that would help me is to see what the statewide averages are in these categories, because I think while not the goal, I think it gives us a benchmark to see what else is happening in the state. We can see what the rest of the state experienced over a 2-year period compared to what we experienced. Are we exceptional? Are we falling behind? Where are we within that? I know it's not perfect, but it gives us a sense beyond our own year over year. I know this isn't for lack of effort. I see what the teachers are doing. I see what the IAs are doing, but I just think we need to continue this conversation and talk about how do we keep doing it better? How do we find those bright spots and how do we leverage them more and more and more? And for accountability purposes, what does this board need to do to support you in achieving that? So with that, thank you.
Ms. Costa.
When you said that we had 2,340 participants with our educational partners and engagement strategies, how has that impacted the LCAP?
Well, it's definitely expanded in the last year. I was looking at this recently. We've increased the number of our thought exchange and listening session participants from 1,420 to the 2,340 that you just mentioned. We've also increased the number of educational partner groups from 45 to 65 with an emphasis on our targeted student groups. And then also it's really impacted our work in terms of the number of students from our targeted groups who are facilitating listening sessions as part of our San Juan Youth Voice Advocates. So we've really been able to expand the number of participants, the number of groups, and really been intentionally focused on reaching our targeted groups.
So as I read, I was very impressed. I thought that's really quite an accomplishment. And we talk about engaging our community voice, our parent voices. That seems like you have really done an amazing job of increasing those voices to help us with the process of LCAP. Am I making an incorrect assumption?
You're making a correct assumption. It's been one of our focuses as a district as a whole. So I appreciate being able to speak on behalf of all the work that folks are doing, but really this is a collective work that's been happening for multiple years about trying to engage more of our educational partners in this process. And I think what we're seeing now is some of the fruits of that work, and we're gradually not only just increasing in number, but also becoming more targeted in that approach to make sure that we're lifting the voices of many of our students and families and teachers who may whose voices weren't lifted in the past in the process. And so that's a correct assumption.
Gave me great hope. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Mr. Miller?
If everybody's had a chance, and now I forget what I was going to ask. What about the transitory population? I mean, doesn't that skew our numbers where kids come for a couple of years and then move on? And so we inherit wherever they came from as far as their education, and then we capture their numbers and they move on, and we just don't know. How does that affect us? Or does that skew our numbers at all?
Well, as a public school district, we serve and welcome all students who come to us at any point in the school year. And so really the impact, I don't want to say is on us. The impact is on the students.
Yeah.
And so we are being very intentional. Like we had mentioned that one of the things we learned specifically with our foster youth students is imagine a student who comes from another district, and because the statewide system of database is not matching up with our local database and doesn't match with the county database, and now we have a student who's coming to us and is not necessarily receiving the services that they need from day one, to no fault of their own.
Right.
And so part of our work around this has been to work with the state and the county to better align our communication systems so that when a student enters San Juan, on day one, they're getting the services that they need. So really our focus has really been on, the impact on us is that we're not able to meet the students' needs from day one. And that's what we've been responding to.
Oh, good. It's a good strategy. Thank you.
Ms. Viescas?
Thank you, Ms. Creason, and thank you, Mr. Tornatore, for the presentation. I did have a few questions, but first I just want to say, kind of reflecting on the data, it certainly demonstrates a lot of the challenges that we've all been through, including our educational system. But our work is certainly cut out for us here in these numbers. One thing to note is just on slide 23. I just want to sort of call out the suspension data in particular, because it's an area of focus and work that we've had as a district for quite some time. And I think it's just worth noting sort of the continued disproportionality there. And, it's here. I know staff is aware of it, but I just want to kind of publicly say that it's still there. And despite COVID and everything, that's one trend that I know we were hoping to collectively improve. And I hope that we'll continue those efforts, because that data certainly suggests that work should continue. And then one clarifying question. So on the graduation rate slide, it was noted that in recent years, we have adopted different graduation standards. And I just want to make sure that those modified standards are taken into account here. I mean, the rate is the rate. And so this is inclusive of kind of the considerations we've made to frankly lower some of the credit requirements, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that assumption was correct, and that I was reading that slide accurately. And then last thing to note is just on slide 25. There's a note here about tier 1 and tier 2 interventions. And if you're able to maybe briefly discuss a little bit of what that means within the scheme of MTSS, and if not, that's okay, but it might be worth a revisiting of what that means in the broader MTSS scale, because we discuss tier 1 and tier 2. We discuss interventions by tier quite a bit. And so just some clarification right now, if you're able to offer it, but if not, maybe moving forward, another revisit and update on MTSS might be helpful.
Right, so tier 1 interventions would be what you would see in every classroom that a teacher and a school are providing to all students. That would be like some of the social emotional learning that happens in the classroom about how to interact with students and with one another in a positive way. So that would be like a tier 1. A tier 2 now might be, okay, maybe a small group of students working to develop strategies as part of an intervention. And then that could potentially evolve into a tier 3 where it becomes more individualized.
Thank you for that clarification. And I also just want to take a moment to say thanks for pulling all this together. I know it's a lot of information, and really what's here is kind of a summary of a lot of ongoing work that happens throughout the year with a number of our partners, and with a lot of input that it takes to kind of compile it and bring to us. So I appreciate the work that's gone into this. I appreciate the very clear presentation on where we are in terms of the work that we need to do, and I look forward to doing that work moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Superintendent Bassanelli.
Yeah, I just wanted to close it out with my appreciation for John and Chris for such a comprehensive report. This is a huge, huge body of work. I mean, as you can see. And I also want to recognize the staffer in the audience who spent their Valentine's Day tonight with us to help to listen in on the discussion that was happening up here at the dais, but then also be available to support with any questions. And the staff here are what is part of what makes me proud to work in San Juan Unified, the family approach and the way that we take care of each other and take care of our students. And so I want to say thank you very much to the staff for participating tonight, and thank you, John and Chris.
Thank you.
Much for the report. We are at item I3, Choices Charter School Mid-Year Local Control and Accountability Plan Update. Mr. Ginter.
Good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Bassanelli, and Ms. Cunningham. We're here this evening for the board to review the 22-23 LCAP for Choices Charter School. The LCAP is updated yearly based on a review of multiple sources of data that includes input gathered from consulting with educational partners, state and local data, educational experience, and research. The governing board approved the Choices LCAP in June of 2022, and we're here to give a mid-year update tonight. I want you to keep in mind while you're listening to the mid-year update for Choices Charter School, just in differentiating between San Juan Charter School or San Juan Unified School District and Choices Charter School. San Juan has nearly 40,000 students, and Choices has from 6th to 12th grade about 250. So it's definitely a smaller body of students we're dealing with. But I'm going to turn the presentation over now to School Director of Choices Charter School, Mr. Brent Gibbons.
Good evening, President Creason, members of the board, Superintendent Bassanelli, and Ms. Cunningham. My name is Brent Gibbons, and I am the new director of San Juan Choices Charter School. I'm happy to be here tonight presenting the Choices Charter School LCAP mid-year update. I really appreciate Dr. Tornatore's comprehensive overview of the LCAP, laying the foundation for what that plan does for a school district and also for a charter school. Choices Charter School is the only dependent charter school under the San Juan umbrella. And so I am happy to report to you, our board, the mid-year update. Part of what I thought would be a good idea, as this is my first time meeting many of you, although I have a long history in San Juan, is just by way of introducing myself briefly. So I joined Choices Charter School in July 1st of last year. I grew up in the San Juan district. I graduated from Del Campo High School. It's actually where I met my wife. who is a special education teacher in the San Juan district. I have 3 children who all have attended San Juan schools or currently attend San Juan schools. And for the past 9 years, I've been a middle school principal in the San Juan district. I was just about 6 years at Barrett Middle School and 3.5 years at Winston Churchill Middle School. So I am brand new to the charter school world and developing relationships, doing a lot of listening, a lot of learning, and digging into charter school law and how we are unique, but how we also provide a very niche market, if you will, for students that need something a little bit different. Our school is a special place. We like to say that it's an extraordinary choice. It provides a unique opportunity for students that might not fit into a traditional comprehensive campus. Our goal is that students will feel known, valued, and connected. We tell our students and families that we offer educational flexibility that also requires responsibility. I know that San Juan values voice and choice, and we are happy to be a part of the San Juan community and offer one additional choice to our families. We serve the Sacramento County and the 8 surrounding counties that physically touch Sacramento County, so we have a broad reach. But the truth is we have many students that come from San Juan schools. Our students are oftentimes looking for something that gives them a much more flexibility. We are a free public charter school under the San Juan umbrella, and we offer an independent study model with online curriculum and a hybrid model, meaning that students have the option to come to in-person classes. We have 15 teachers. We have 7 additional staff, full-time counselor, 2 special education teachers, an assistant director, myself, the director, and 2 community liaisons, as well as an administrative assistant and a attendance clerk, registrar. So we partner with San Juan Special Education Department to provide IEPs. We have 504s. We are a WASC accredited school. We earned the 6-year, which is the highest level of WASC accreditation. And we are very proud of the over 23 years of history. The school was founded in 1999. We are housed on the old or former Billy Mitchell Elementary School campus, which is a stone's throw away from El Camino High School. We share our campus with the Professional Learning and Innovation offices, which houses approximately 15 professional staff there, as well as the ECE has 2 early childhood education classrooms on that campus as well. We also have the foster youth services from San Juan District on that campus. So a long relationship with San Juan. I feel like I've almost earned a San Juan tattoo, if there is such a thing, and have a really amazing relationship with all of the San Juan folks that I see on a daily basis. As our school goes, again, we're a free public charter school authorized by San Juan Unified School District, serving 6th through 12th grades with approximately 250 students at this time. We offer online curriculum with optional in-person support classes. We are a small campus. We have a very positive climate. As I said, we are WASC accredited with a full 6-year term. We have a full course catalog with CTE, advanced placement, and visual and performing arts courses. Our students have 24 access to student information, grades, curriculum, and class information through our online portal. We offer free tutoring in all subjects, and we help students and families who may be at risk or need additional support for a variety of reasons. Many of our students do have anxiety issues. There we go. Thank you. Many of our students have some sort of health issues that may keep them at home. Some of them have family members that they care for, jobs. And so the flexibility that our program offers allows them to learn from home with the opportunity to come in, develop relationships with their teachers, develop relationships with fellow classmates as well. We are not a seat-based attendance school. We are a work-based attendance school, which means that we do not collect ADA from the state for students being on campus. We collect ADA when students submit work. Assignments in our online platform are delivered Monday morning and they are due Friday at midnight. Students earn attendance credit when that work is submitted. So we have a high level of accountability. Our parent portal allows parents to log in and see exactly to the minute and second what assignments students have been working on and how much time has been logged, including that extra tab that students like to open to float around YouTube and other websites. So we can tell very quickly by how much work is being completed in addition to tracking their minutes. As Dr. Tornatore really comprehensively covered, our LCAP plan is separate because we are a charter school. And so as a dependent charter school, we write our own separate LCAP plan. And that plan is specifically meant to address the needs of all students with an emphasis on our English learners, our low income and foster youth students. I'm on slide 5 now. We do focus on our engagement with our educational partners. Choices promotes community engagement through collaboration with the following partners. We have an advisory council, which consists of teachers, parents, students, school administration, classified employees, and community members. We have family focus groups where we take input and information about how we can improve, and we want to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all of our families and students. Obviously, we talk to our parents on a regular basis. We talk to our students. We have a school leadership team, our school staff, and then importantly, we also confer and talk often with our San Juan Unified School District colleagues and partners. All students, including the socioeconomically disadvantaged students, English learners, and foster youth, benefit from the focus on the implementation of the following areas of focus. A big deal for us is expanded tutoring services. We like to say that our students can access one-on-one help from their teachers just by simply making an appointment. We Zoom with our students. The students can walk in and have a face-to-face meeting with their teachers, phone calls, and a chat system within our online curriculum. So we like to make ourselves accessible as much as possible. We have many staff teachers that have been at the school for 15 plus years. And so they think of themselves as a concierge service where they are accessible and available to students to help them through the curriculum and to help them through graduation requirements and to help them through some of the social and emotional challenges that they have. We offer college and career planning support. Again, we have a full-time counselor. She's brand new to our school. She's absolutely amazing. Miss Monahan was instrumental in helping us plan a college and career week, which included raffle prizes, which included guest speakers, which included students getting information about how to make sure that they can be on track to attend a college, and also how to ensure that they have information about the different career tracks that are available. We focus a lot on school and community engagement. Again, we have an advisory council where we meet 3 times a year to take input in a formal manner, but oftentimes we have conversations with our students and with our parents in small group settings. We have student surveys, and we want to make sure that as students leave our school as seniors, that we've asked them about their experience. And so we have an incredibly high parents and student satisfaction rate in making sure that we're serving our students well, and that our school is a place that is safe and that they feel like they can be successful. We have technology resources. We partner with the San Juan IT department for access to Chromebooks. We have also an amazing computer lab with a full-time computer our community liaison that works in our computer lab, makes herself available from 8 to 4 Monday through Friday to help students with any tutoring needs that they have. We have support for students with anxiety because we are a small campus and our optional in-person classes are very small, and we do not have any bells that ring on our campus. And so the environment is very much like a small community college where students have scheduled courses, they arrive, they attend their class, they can leave. We do not have kids hanging out on our campus. They have 3 options when they're at our school. They can be in their scheduled class. They can be meeting one-on-one with their teacher. They can be working quietly in the computer lab. After that, they might get a personal invitation from me to find out when their ride is coming to pick them up so that we don't have any issues on campus. Mental health is very important. We support students. Again, we have a full-time counselor who is well connected to San Juan's team of counselors. She attends the middle school and high school counseling meetings to make sure that she has all of the resources available, like Care Solace and the educational mental health specialists as well, who consult with our students that have IEPs or need any kind of additional support. We have a safe, flexible, and caring learning environment. Here's a brief overview of our budget. A couple comments that I want to make about this is that, again, we're a small school and our average daily attendance is calculated based on work that is completed. This budget, I want to note, was built on a estimated average daily attendance of 210 students. And at present, we have 250 students. So looking at this budget, you'll see that our total projected revenue is $3,001,008, and our total budgeted general fund expenditures is $3,077,182, which is running a deficit. We have a healthy reserve fund right now, so I was not concerned about that. Being the new director, of course, the budget is very important, and we want to make sure that we're good stewards of the money that is sent to us through our average daily attendance. However, with an average daily attendance of closer to 250, we expect that we'll be able to have add a bit of more reserve, which will help us with some of the staffing needs that we're going to be facing as we do get larger. Going to highlight a few of the successes for our school. Choices seamlessly transitioned to distance learning during the COVID-19 campus closure. And we had an extremely strong 2021 English and Math Smarter Balance Assessment CASP scores. And our scores reflect that. So as often we all experienced the shutdown because of our online environment, which was already in place and well established. Many of our students just continued to do school as they had before COVID hit. So that definitely played into our favor. However, our students came back to us after the schools opened back up and had all of the same mental health issues and had all of the same social and emotional challenges that all students face. So the fact that we have an online curriculum and we were able to offer learning continued at 24/7 did not change the fact that we are still struggling to catch up just as everyone else is. We did not have a significant learning loss in English language arts. And that's demonstrated again by our strong 2022 English scores that exceeded the state averages. Choices reaches all students in an equitable manner as seen by the CASP scores. Disadvantaged students subgroups either outperform all students or lag behind them by fewer points than across the state. Choices offers a safe and caring learning environment. 100% of returning students in 2021 and 2022 reported feeling safe on campus during the previous year. While many students cite anxiety as a primary reason for enrolling, roughly half of them later state that they feel less anxiety since they started to attend. Some of our challenges and areas of growth. The following choices data points lag behind state averages. Choices is aware of these areas of need and is focused on growth through targeted action. So the first area of growth is our graduation rate and college and career indicators. Choices is actively promoting through its WASC graduation outcomes, the accomplishment of individual goals through college and career planning and timely graduation. This process involves various practices, activities, and academic assignments that raise awareness, require reflection, and promote practical decision-making that builds a path towards the accomplishment of long-term objectives. Practically speaking, we're having lots and lots of conversations with our students about what are their goals, What do they see themselves doing when we're talking about 5 years from now, 10 years from now? We're meeting with their families. We're making sure that we are connecting them with resources. We're making sure that we're helping them with college applications, expanding their career, technical education opportunities, and again, connecting them to the resources that can help them make those decisions. And also having a very strong connection with what we call an advisory teacher. Every single student at our school is paired with an advisory teacher. An advisory teacher has about a 25 student caseload, and that teacher is directly responsible for that student. We like to say that students don't fall through the cracks at our school, and that's because of this level of customer service, concierge, constant contact with the families and with the students. So once we start to see a drop off in attendance, if we see a drop off in work, if we see a drop off in engagement, our community liaisons are reaching out to those students as well as the advisory teacher. So we kind of have a tiered approach in terms of supporting those students. An area of growth for us definitely is our math scores. We have 2 new dedicated math teachers who meet students where they are at and assist them. We offer innovative practices and the support of a full-time tutor. Again, we have a community liaison that works in our computer lab from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. Mrs. Cave is her name. She's available full-time to meet with students. And again, we can meet with students in class, on campus in the computer lab, via Zoom, via chat, email, phone, whatever it takes to meet with the students, we will do it. The LCAP funds will continue to target these areas of need where Choices expects to continue to experience incremental growth. The next slides are the metrics, and I'm going to go through them briefly. If there's a gray box, that really means that the subgroup is too small or has an insignificant sample size. If it's a green highlighted area, it's an area of growth or an area that we see as success. So this first slide is the graduation metrics. Looking at our graduation metrics for our socially economically disadvantaged students and our English learners, we saw a dip after COVID, but we expect to see that rate increase with a goal of 78% and 76% respectively in the next school year. So just a quick overview of this graph, which follows throughout the next few slides. The metric is listed on the far left column, and then we have a baseline. The baseline may change, but on this slide, it's the 2019-2020 school year. And then we have year 1 and year 2. And then we are currently in year 3, which all of those metrics are ongoing and in progress. And then we have our desired outcome on the far right column, which is where we'd like to be next year. So for our graduation rate, again, our baseline 75%. In the 2019-2020 school year, and we have a growth target or goal of at least 1 point per year. So by the 23-24 school year, our hope is that we will have a 78% graduation rate for our socioeconomically disadvantaged students. And we're currently in progress, but we did take a big dip after the 2020-21 school year, going from 75% to 68%. And for our English learners, we have a very small school. We have a very small population of English language learners. It's about a 0.5% sample size. I think right now, off the top of my head, I think we have approximately 11 English language learners, just to give you an example of the sample size. The next metric is our ELA scores, again, focusing on the achievement gap between our socioeconomically disadvantaged students and all students in ELA. So our baseline, again, 6% points below performance of all of our students. Our current goal is that we would get back to 3% below the performance of all students. But I want you to notice on the 2020-21 school year, we had a 7-point gain, if you will. We were that particular group of students were 7 points above the performance of all of our students. So our socioeconomically disadvantaged students compared to all of our students in whole were 7% above. And for our English language learners, they saw a 19-point gap, meaning that they were 19 points above the performance of all of our students. So that those groups did particularly well during that year. And that's in part, we believe, because of the continuity of our online school, which allowed those students to continue to learn throughout the shutdown. The next metric is math. And again, we saw a jump in the 2020-21 school year. Our socioeconomically disadvantaged students were 11 points above the performance of all other students, and our English language learners were 9 points above the performance of all other students as well. We took a drop, like many other schools around the state and the country, the following year, and we are working to improve that as we continue to target students with those additional supports and that special care and one-on-one attention. And then moving on to the college and career metrics. These data points really are hard for us to interpret. There are no published data points for the 2020-21 school year or the 21-2022 school year. So we've set our desired outcome for the 23-24 school year at 2 points below the performance of all students, whereas the baseline for us in the 2019-20 school year was 5 points below. So again, we have an idea of where our students were prior to the pandemic, and we're gonna work hard to make sure that they get that is a gap that is closing each year. And the last one, I believe, is the chronic absenteeism. Again, our baseline for our socioeconomically disadvantaged students, we were 4 points above. And in this case, we do not want to be above. We want to be below. We want to reduce the chronic absenteeism. So the 18-19 school year was the base. And again, 2020-21 school year, there was no data published. The 21-22 school year, we were 6 points above the performance of all students. And so we're going to aim at having that drop to 2% above all students in the 23-24 school year. And again, the sample size was too insignificant in the 21-22 school year for us to measure. And so we'd like to, again, have no achievement gap once that sample size is large enough to track. We work hard not to let kids and families fall through the cracks. Again, that's one of our primary focuses. With that, that concludes my presentation. And at this time, if you all have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you for the report. It's nice to see you again, and congratulations on your new gig.
Thank you.
Questions, comments from the board? Ms. Kravchuk.
Thank you. Did I hear you say correctly that ADA is actually higher than what you projected?
So yes, so keep in mind the reference that I'm brand new to the position. And so we're coming out of multiple years of having, unpredictable attendance. When we closed the last school year with a student population of about 272 students. The enrollment pattern for choices tends to be that as the school year goes on, we see an increase in enrollment. What happens, just to kind of give some anecdotal evidence, is that students that are experiencing anxiety, stress, or having some sort of family dynamic that needs to have a smaller environment, needs to take them out of a traditional comprehensive school, they're looking for alternatives. I think it's great that as a dependent charter school, they have an option to come to us, and it may be for a short time. And so we may see a student that says, I need something different for this period in my life right now, either to finish out the current school year or to start the school year and get me 1 year of just kind of time to recover before I go back to a traditional school site, which often is a San Juan school. So we started off this school year after graduating students at the end of last year. And it's typically around 50 seniors. That's about what our class size is right now. So if you take 272 minus 50, you get down to about 220-ish students. And that's kind of what we started out the school year at. And we kind of ebb and flow. And then now, as we're in the second semester, it's jumped up to about 250, 255. It depends on any given day. As students are enrolled, because they're looking for something to help them in that moment. Or sometimes students are not making the attendance requirements that are required by law for independent study. And so we have to ask them to look for a more traditional setting.
I'm trying to understand your budget because you also said that there was a budget deficit. So I'm
Yes.
wondering how shouldn't
So
the budget go
originally,
up if you have higher ADA?
yes, but it's not reflected right now because we haven't had that attendance period recorded yet. So in other words, initially the attendance projection was approximately 245 students. In meeting with our business services office and looking at the enrollment that we started out the school year with, being around 220, we didn't have a high degree of confidence that we were going to be able to meet that 245 student number. So we decided to go ahead and lower our estimate and we set it at 210. So this budget that you're looking at is based on an enrollment average daily attendance of 210 students.
Got it.
With 250 students right now and expecting that to go up or at least maintain at that same level, we expect that the budget, which was built on 210, and those are the numbers that you're looking at, will actually end up being significantly higher.
Okay, so there will not be a deficit.
No.
Great. And then for the metrics, I appreciate you letting us know, if it was below or above performance of all students, but is there a way for us to see what the actual percentage was?
Yes, those are all on the dashboard and those are in, those are available in the dashboard online. So we have those available. Actually, there's one additional appendix item, I believe, that shows the dashboard. And again, this doesn't answer your question because it's not giving you specific percentages, but it does show San Juan Choice's charter school and in these metrics compared to the state of California. And there's a brief summary at the bottom there too that kind of explains some of those. Are you able to see the appendix that I'm talking about? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but again, all of those numbers, being that this was just a mid-year update, we did not put all of those specific metrics in there, but I can certainly get those to you. And again, they're on the dashboard.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
And I did have the opportunity to visit your Orangevale campus. How many campuses do you?
We just have the one campus. Yep.
Okay.
One campus. Again, it's Choices Charter School / Billy Mitchell,
Okay.
the former Billy Mitchell Elementary School.
Yeah, I was really impressed. It was great to see, there's like a very chill, mellow vibe. I think there was some like spa music going at the time. People were focused. They were doing their thing, either studying independently or meeting with a teacher or like a cohort. It really resembled like a college environment.
Yeah, yeah. No, that we hear that a lot. It's a very quiet, again, it prepares students. A lot of students give us feedback that especially our seniors that graduate and move on, that it really prepares them for the community college experience because of, again, it requires flexibility and responsibility paired together.
Sorry, one more question. You, I think, mentioned that a lot of your a lot of the students were like foster youth or English learners, but then I also saw in the budget that you didn't have the concentration grant. So there's not a large enough population of one of the groups.
We have a small percentage of English language learners and we have a small percentage of foster youth at our school.
Okay.
Being that our curriculum is delivered online and being that the classes are optional in person, it takes a very motivated and special student that's learning English to have the degree of success that's needed without the daily side-by-side kind of support.
Yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments from the board? Okay, thank you so much for spending your Valentine's Day with us.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for your report. We are at item I4, conveyance of a permanent easement at the Sunrise Technical Center to the Citrus Heights Water District. Mr. Camarda.
Yes, thank you, President Creason, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Bassanelli, and Ms. Cunningham. Tonight's facilities item is an action item. It is the intent to convey a permanent easement at the Sunrise Technical Center to the Citrus Heights Water Department. The superintendent is recommending the board adopt resolution number 4071, declaring the intent to convey a permanent easement at Sunrise Tech to the Citrus Heights Water District and to call a public hearing to be held on February 28th, 2023. I'm available to answer any questions that the board may have.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from the board? Seeing none, this is an action item. Is there a motion to adopt resolution number 4071? Moved by Mr. Hernandez. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Viescaz. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That was unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are at item I5, recommendation for reduction in particular kinds of services, TK 12 certificated. Mr. Orapollo.
Good evening, President Creason, board members, Superintendent Bassanelli, Ms. Cunningham. I'm here tonight to present the superintendent's recommendation that the governing board discuss resolution 4066, reducing or discontinuing particular kinds of services and the corresponding amount of certificated staffing that will be reduced as a result. And also resolution 4067, which is establishing a criteria in case of a tie break. This is a discussion item and it will return on the 28th as an action item. I'm joined by Ms. Deanne Carlson, Director of Human Resources, and we are here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much. Questions, comments from the board? Seeing none. Thank you for the information. This item will come back for action on February 28th. I think you're still up, aren't you?
Yes, thank you very much. I also bring tonight before you the resolution 4068 and 4069, again corresponding to reduction of particular kinds of services and criteria for the early childhood education program. Again, I'm joined by Mrs. Carlson, and again, I can answer any questions that the board may have.
Sounds good. I just want to clarify, we are on item I6. Any questions or comments from the board? Mr. Miller.
Well, I just wanted to thank Paul and staff for sitting down with myself and the other two new members and explaining this process. So I understand. And I guess the other thing I just wanted to comment on is we're not actually talking about layoffs on these two items, are we?
We do not anticipate any at this time, right?
That's good enough. I mean, that's a
Not
good
for these
answer.
two items now.
Good answer. Thank you.
Questions, comments? Ms. Krivchuk?
I just wanted to echo what Mr. Miller said. I appreciate you taking the time to explain the process to us on Friday. It was very thorough and I feel very well informed. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for the information. This item will come back for action on February 28th. We are now at item I7, notice of intent to reduce classified positions. Mr. Orapollo.
Thank you again, Board President Creason, board members, Ms. Bassanelli and Ms. Cunningham. I'm here tonight to present the superintendent's recommendation that the governing board discuss resolution 4070, reducing or eliminating certain classified positions effective June 30th, 2023 due to lack of work and or lack of funds. Again, this is a discussion item and will return on the 28th for action. And again, I'm joined by Ms. Carlson to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. Questions, comments from the board? Seeing none. Thank you so much again for the information. This item will come back for action on February 28th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day. Okay, board reports. We are at item J, board reports. Are there any board reports? Mr. Avey.
I just wanted to quickly report out from the facilities committee that we had. The facilities handbook that we approved tonight, it was thoroughly discussed. It was very well done. As I told the committee when I was there, I was talking to some parents that, tend to not pull their punches. And when I asked them about permitted use of the facilities, they're very complimentary of the district. So it was very high praise. So with that, a little bit later in the agenda, I would like to ask the facilities committee to talk more about non-permitted use or public use of school facilities outside of school hours. Based on the conversation that group had around the permitted use of facilities, I think that would be a great group to discuss non-permitted use. What do we want to set as a policy as a board? So I'll bring that back on future agenda items, but I just wanted to compliment the facilities committee. It's very well run, very well organized, and they turned out a great product. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Avey. Any other board reports? I'm going to quickly run down my list. It has been busy. I had the opportunity to visit Skycrest in Schweitzer and Encina since our last board meeting, and Rio for the CTE ribbon cutting, which was awesome. kudos again to the facilities committee. That was a wonderful experience. There was a renovation of our CTE programming and manufacturing and medical pathway program. It was amazing. I do want to call out Schweitzer, such a small, cute school. They actually, I got to see in action, something was raised during the LCAP presentation about the celebrations for good attendance. I attended on a Friday. There was a huge assembly. There were awards for classes that had great attendance numbers. So I actually got to see that in action and the kids were so into it. And they were also, the classes that didn't win were still so supportive of who did. So just that sense of community and celebrating success, even if you're not the one being celebrated, really touched my heart. So busy time. And also just wanted to mention ADA has come up so much tonight, and my colleagues may know, I'm sure Ms. Vasquez knows, Senator Portantino just introduced new legislation to shift how schools are funded from ADA to based on enrollment, which most states do. Basically, because I mean, it's just like you're throwing a party and nobody shows up, right? You still bought the drinks, you still bought the trips, you still paid your caterer, but you're not getting the money back, which in my mind doesn't make sense. So I'm excited about this piece of legislation, and I just wanted to raise it so my colleagues are aware of it. That concludes my report. I'm sorry, Mr. Miller?
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
You don't want to laugh, do you?
No, let's get out of here. Okay. No disrespect. We are on item K, future agenda. Do any board members wish to add any items to a future agenda? Mr. Avey.
As advertised, I would like the board to, I don't know if direct or ask the facilities committee to explore a policy that we would include in our facilities use handbook on the public use of our school campuses during non-school hours, right? When can people play basketball on the basketball courts? When can people run around on the fields? And I think the facilities committee would be a great place to flesh out that policy and figure out what a good recommendation for the board would be.
Colleagues, are we in agreement? Ms. Vasquez.
Just a point of clarification. Is it something that you want brought to the facilities committee for discussion and then maybe reported here? Or do you want it an agenda item? Because it feels more appropriate, the former, but I wanted to clarify your request.
I think I would like to see the facilities committee research the item and make a recommendation to the board at a future meeting. Does that make sense? Allow them to basically do the work and then they can bring it forward maybe as a part of the facilities handbook update, maybe as another policy, but just explore what makes sense for public use of our outdoor spaces.
So really looking for concurrence to make that direction?
General consensus.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Hernandez.
So normally when we have a scenario like this where we direct the facilities, we address it like we're doing now. You direct me, since I'm the liaison, take it back to Mr. Camarda and that board to give them direction. Then they do what they do, just like we did the facility handbook. I will let my colleagues know that facility handbook, it took a long time to get it to where we are today. And I see that if we choose to do that, it could take some time because there's going to be some work done to it. I will help my colleagues know that there's been some preliminary work going on this already. And most of the districts that are in Sacramento do not open their facilities at all anymore. And there was a time that most of our schools were completely open because they were open in general. Now that we have put such an emphasis on security on our schools, that there's we have gates and we have, in most of those scenarios. So I agree with Mr. Avey that we should maybe address this, but it's going to be a little difficult because, our schools, as we're continuing to put emphasis on security and we lock our gates now. How do we do that? Well, that's something that the facilities can research, get back with us, but it is something to address because I do remember a time that many of our community members were out walking on our tracks on the weekend and they enjoyed that. And now they can't unless they go through a locked gate. So it's something that you choose to address, we will go there.
Thank you, Mr. Hernandez. So is there general consensus that we'll ask Mr. Hernandez to take this back to facilities and we'll hear back from facilities? Everyone okay with that? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We do not need to return to closed session. We are adjourned.